Microphones and headphones provided by Audio-Technica. To learn more, head over to audiotechnica.com. The views expressed on this episode of My Take Radio do not reflect the views, thoughts, or feelings of the My Take Radio staff, My Take Radio advertisers, or My Take Radio content partners. Listener and viewer discretion is advised.
This coverage is live and uncensored, so if you have any small children present, you may want to have them leave the room.
Hey, what's up, guys? My Take Radio, episode 274 for Wednesday, February 18th, 2014. I'm your host, Rich, and our caller number is 347-324-3541. Again, that caller number, 347-324-3541. If this is your first time tuning into My Take Radio is a variety show covering mixed martial arts, professional wrestling, gaming, and entertainment. Our MMA and wrestling portion airs every Wednesday at 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific, and our gaming and entertainment version airs every Thursday at 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific. As always, My Take Radio has strong language, so please, listener and viewer discretion is advised. All right, so we're going to get the ball rolling. We got a lot to discuss. Of course, we are coming off of Toy Fair, which we covered this past weekend. A very interesting, very productive, and very awesome day overall. It had its ups and downs. It had its fair share of stressful and agitating situations, but overall, I felt we had a very, very strong showing. One of the things I wanted to try and do more of was video. Unfortunately, just the environment did not prove conducive to get more video content out there. Most of the stuff that we did share on social media was about the fullest extent of video that we did. We did take over 2,000 photos between all of us, so that was definitely one of the high points. We got to see a lot of great stuff from a lot of amazing companies, a lot of awesome collectibles. If you have small children that are just into, superheroes and comics and not even that to an extent, but just that are just fans of whatever products are on TV. There's so many great things on the horizon for them. Just great electronic toys, great educational toys. But for the adult collector, like yours truly and the majority of our listeners, there was just a lot of awesome stuff. Great companies, NECA, Mezco, Kotobukiya, McFarlane Toys, of course. Diamond had some really cool stuff. DC had an amazing booth full of tremendous stuff. So many awesome companies were just killing it, and you've probably seen our photos already available on, our Facebook fan page, and of course, we're putting them up gradually on mytakeradio.com. One of the high points was getting to meet the crew from Mattel and seeing so many awesome WWE figures and a lot of awesome stuff from He-Man, which, of course, if you're an 80s baby like myself, you know that the He-Man figures have been something that have retained their value and have been remastered time and time again. Of course, you got the originals, then you have the ones based on the second He-Man series, And then you have the newer figures with the new design based on the newer animated series, which are tremendous. We got some really cool stuff that we're going to give away over the next couple of days. I'm going to keep it under my hat for now, but if you are a Masters of the Universe fan, you're going to like what we're going to be giving away. And if you're a Halo fan, we're going to be giving away some really awesome stuff too. We also have an announcement, which I hope to probably share with you guys maybe next week or the week after, regarding an advertising partner that is going to be working with us. We're going to be doing a lot of cool stuff, a lot of awesome giveaways, and it's just going to take My Take Radio and Rageworks to the next level. We're going to get a little bit more into what went down on Toy Fair tomorrow, just because I want to share some stuff regarding the McFarlane booth, and I feel that's more in line with our entertainment content for tomorrow. So we're definitely going to get into that. I will say I did get to sit down with Todd McFarlane briefly and have like a legit person-to-person conversation, not some canned interview with canned responses. And he shared some really cool stuff with me, which, you know, I want to definitely let you guys know about, just because it was so cool. Probably one of the highlights of my day. Like I said, hardcore mark-out moment. And, you know, it made the sacrifice of Valentine's Day with my wife a little easier to stomach. But of course, you know, my wife is a trooper. She went with me, and she endured 2 days of walking and you know, a crazy commute with really crazy weather. I see Ben ask, did you get some Spawn stuff? No, I did not. But what I am giving away is going to blow your mind when you guys see what I'm giving away, because what I'm giving away from Mattel, I'm going to tell you guys right now, is so exclusive that it's not even on their site. This is how serious this is. It is ridiculous, and we're going to make sure to do a contest that's worthy of this particular item, because as an 80s baby, you know, I was like, damn, you know, this would be really cool to keep. But I know that you guys, there's so many of you guys that are incredibly supportive, you know, really holding it down. And I want to make sure you guys get to reap the rewards. So be on the lookout for that. Like I said, we're going to get into that a little bit during the entertainment show tomorrow night. So be on the lookout for that. As for the advertising partner, that's going to be a cool announcement, and it's really going to take things to the other level. Yes, the contest will be open to everyone, staff included, given the fact that this was given, you know, this was given as a whole with there was no particular motivation, so anybody can enter, and I am gonna open it to the staff as well in this instance. But like I said, it is gonna be random, so you know, you got to be in it to win it, and definitely want you guys to let everybody else know that's down with it to enter this contest once it goes live. The other thing I did want to talk about, and this is a little interesting, is that I've been researching new video solutions for video streaming. There are some options on deck. I was testing out YouTube Live earlier today, and it looks incredibly promising as an alternative. I'm just concerned that, you know, if we got to play certain things or certain sound clips, that YouTube is going to get pissed off about it, but we're going to take it as it goes. But it's something that I'm probably going to continue testing behind the scenes for another couple of days. And who knows, maybe we'll do a trial show as we get closer to MTR 300, which I do want to talk about that as well in a moment. But we are going to test out YouTube Live and see how that goes. Ustream looked like a solid possibility, but a lot of people were saying that Ustream actually interrupts broadcasts while they're in progress to play advertising. So that's a little bit of a distraction, especially if, you know, we're in the middle of a really cool segment and a commercial comes through. I'm sure there's going to be a paid tier to avoid those instances, but as of right now, that's one of the reasons why I'm not messing with Ustream. Somebody asked if I was interested in putting the show on Twitch. I thought about it, but I feel that the gaming content, while it definitely is a big part of Thursday's show, I do think that people may have issue if I did Wednesday's show on Twitch, because obviously not gaming related in the least. But again, you know, I've been hearing different responses about that. So I'm going to research that a little further, but there are definitely other solutions that we are looking for from the gaming, the video platform, just as another alternative. Also, as you may have noticed, we got a brand new podcast that joined the MTR Rageworks family. That's Ben's Black is the New Black with him and Taylor. They've really been killing it. They put out their first show last week, and the numbers have been tremendous. Definitely proud of those guys. They came in, Ben is very very receptive, really on his game, and they're picking it up. They're getting through a lot of hurdles. They're starting to figure out a formula that works. And I got to tell you guys, definitely give them a listen if you're a fan of, hip hop, pop culture, comics, sports. You want to talk some TV, you want to go in there and clown around with those guys. They really do a solid job. And, it's real easy for me to say it's pop culture with an urban edge, but that's so PC and so stupid to use that I'm just not going to say that. If you like what we do and you enjoy how I give you guys the show, Ben and Taylor, they definitely keep it 100, and they really do a great job. And, I can't stress enough, definitely give them your support, check them out. We all grow together, and, we do what we got to do, but definitely proud of Taylor and Ben for what they've done so far. They came out of the gate swinging, and they just did their latest show earlier this evening, which I'm going to edit before I share it with you guys, so be on the lookout for that. Probably, if not available by tomorrow, it definitely should be ready for consumption by Friday. Ben's probably going to be joining me also because MMA this week is just a clusterfuck of insanity, and I definitely want to get into that. Of course, we're going to talk about the Nevada State Athletic Commission hearing. We're going to talk about the UFC's brand new, very, very aggressive stance on performance-enhancing drugs, and they're really looking to kind of level the playing field. We'll see how that goes. There's a lot of woulda, coulda, shoulda there, and, it's something that is not going to be instituted for at least till July, conveniently when the Reebok deal takes effect. So we're going to get into that. We're going to talk about this past weekend's card. I kind of want to touch a little bit on what went down with Bellator and, just some of the other cards on deck. On the wrestling side of things, of course, I got to talk about Raw. We're going to get a little bit into WWE Fastlane. We are going to talk about the release of, we're going to talk about the departure of Samoa Joe from TNA, and that's a huge story. There's so many implications with regards to where Samoa Joe can go and what impact he can have on any other promotion. I think Samoa Joe is one of the best workers in the game. I know a lot of guys, I had a debate with a couple of guys today talking about Samoa Joe's just a big spot guy, and I totally disagree. You're talking about a guy that's, in the 280s, 300-pound mark, moves like a cruiserweight, has a tremendous strong style background, brings some just real aggressive offense to the table, and we definitely want to get into that as well. As always, we will take your calls, 347-324-3541. If you missed tonight's broadcast, it will be available on iTunes, Stitcher, and TuneIn Radio. Video versions will be available on both our Rageworks and My Take Radio YouTube channels. All right, so of course, it's super cold here in New York City. It is pretty much sub-zero Hoth weather over here. Had a pipe break in my house before we went live today, so that was some fun stuff. So if I'm a little irritable, usually makes for a good show, so definitely don't mind me. But with that said, let's get this ball rolling. Let's talk some MMA because, man, oh man, there's a lot of shit going on. Let's do this. As always, My Take Radio's MMA segment is brought to you by MMA-Warehouse.com. If you're a mixed martial artist or just a fan of the sport in general and want to pick up some tees, if you're a mixed martial artist, of course, if you want to get some training gear, rash guards, gloves, official fighter merch. Definitely hit up our friends at MMA-Warehouse.com. Of course, head over to RageWorks.net. Check out the promo codes and banners throughout the site. Of course, if you use those, it helps us out. They toss us a couple of chips, and everybody wins. Of course, we want to continue to give you guys the best product possible. So definitely make sure to check out our banners and also support our affiliates as well. All right, so as I said, we had a really, really crazy week of mixed martial arts news. This actually makes up for last week when things were definitely on the quiet side. Of course, this week, Nevada State Athletic Commission hearings for Lombard, Nick Diaz, Anderson Silva, and then, of course, the UFC did their huge announcement earlier today. And let me tell you, as a fan of mixed martial arts, we truly, truly are in a stagnant state of affairs. And like anything else, even cyclical as it is, it definitely, in my opinion, is really, really flat right now. That's not to say that the sport is shitty, but it's just to say that things aren't at that stage of the game where you want to just jump out and buy every pay-per-view and you know, try and check out every card. It's making us very selective. It's making us choose and put some thought into which cards we want to support. And again, you know, I talked about this last week. The parallels between wrestling and mixed martial arts are, wow, that was totally unexpected. The parallels between mixed martial arts and professional wrestling used to be a line, and I talked about this with a good friend of mine yesterday. The line used to be like this. This was the parallel between mixed martial arts and wrestling. This was how big the gap was. Over the last couple of years, that gap has become smaller and smaller and smaller to the point where, in essence, the line is totally blurred between mixed martial arts and professional wrestling. They each borrow elements from each other. They each try and run things like the big corporate machine. Everything is PC. Everything is by the book. You know, it's a lot of corporate culture influencing the sport. And with that, it's sometimes to an extent, I think it's changed the sport for the worse. I definitely want to get into that with Ben. Slick just informed me he is on the line, so let me bring him on because you know, I definitely want to get the ball rolling with that bit of discussion first. Big Ben, what's up?
What's up, man?
Dude, you know, you and I, we've done this dance for a while now, and I don't know, over the last week or two, I just feel that the sport, I don't want to say the sport's on life support because that's stupid to say, but I do want to say that the sport is just real casual right now. You know what I mean? Like you're not aggressively jumping out of your skin to try and find every card and follow every fight, because the sport itself, between the oversaturation, and the reason I say that, you got World Series of Fighting, you got Bellator, you got the UFC, you got Glory putting on cards every Friday night, you know, every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, somebody got a card going on. And while I do love that, I do feel that it's a lot of sensory overload with regards to the sport. Like every channel you flip to, something's going on. And then, of course, the mainstreaming of the UFC makes it that everything is just, you know, well, let me rephrase that. The mainstreaming of the UFC by way of Ronda Rousey and, you know, being naked in Sports Illustrated, you know, that's the real driving force here. But I do want to talk about, before we get into this past weekend's fight, did you hear about Paige VanZant getting a Reebok deal?
Yeah. I don't want to say anything negative about her because this is not of her doing. Like, it's not her fault that she's attractive. But the fact that you don't give Carla Esparza, the champion of said division, a Reebok deal. And she's not. And the thing with Paige VanZant is she's not even.
Dude, she got 2 fights.
Top 6 or 7.
Dude, she got 2 fights in the cage.
Like, yeah, and she's also probably not as good as they think she is. Like, she's not beating Johannesburg. I'm probably going to fuck up her last name, but she ain't beating Joanna, what's her name? The one that's trying to call her sponsor.
Yeah.
She's not beating Rose Namajunas. Like, she's good, but she's not.
Well, she's supposed to be fighting
really
Felice Herrig.
she might lose to Felice Herrig. Like, Felice Herrig can fight. Like,
this is true.
Like, she's been doing this a while. Like, it's interesting to me, like, you give her this deal when you have a champion who, you know, I mean, Carla Esparza doesn't look as good, I guess, as Paige VanZant, but she's still the champion. Like,
true.
Like, the first person that should get the Reebok deal in that division is the champion, in my opinion. But, you know, good for Paige VanZant. I can't, you know, say anything negative about her.
Right. But here's the funny thing. You know who else doesn't have a Reebok deal? Cain Velasquez. You know who else doesn't have a Reebok deal? Demetrius Johnson. You know who else doesn't have a Reebok deal? Jose Aldo. Shall I continue? How does Jose Aldo not have a deal
though,
and his opponent does?
Well, the thing with all the champions, yeah, that's ridiculous too. But the thing with all the champions though is they're eventually going to get their personal Reebok. Like,
right?
Cain, you know, Cain when he comes back is going to have a personal deal. Hell, Jose might have his by the time he comes back and fights. But like all the champions are going to get their own personal Reebok deal. So I'm not super offended by that. Now, Demetrius Johnson should get all of the sponsorships. He might be the best fighter in the UFC that nobody cares about because he's 5'3".
Well, you know what?
I've heard maybe.
No, go ahead. No, I'll let you finish. Go ahead, brother.
No, I've just heard dudes be like, "Oh, I could whoop his ass because he's small." Like, no, you really couldn't.
You really can't.
You really could not.
Well, you know what it is? Last week when I did the show, I talked about that him and he reached out to TJ Dillashaw and he's like, "Yo, you want to do this super fight, man? We see if Dana gives us $2 million." And then they were like, "Well, you know, we could probably do it for $1 million." And I just thought about it and I'm like, "Yo, it's crazy that the dude's got to try and get in the driver's seat to even make a super fight happen." Not to say that we need one or want one, but you get what I'm saying? Like, these guys are going into business for themselves because statistically, they got nobody to fight. Like, Renan Barão fighting TJ Dillashaw, yeah, great. You know, it's going to happen. But is it a fight that's going to, quote-unquote, move the proverbial needle? No. Hate to say it, but
the big thing with 135 is it just seems there's, like, no real prospects right now at that division. Like, they have no young up-and-coming fighters in that division. And 125, it's such a new division, and Demetrius Johnson is so good that it kind of puts them in this weird position where, like, okay, well, he's beat the second and third best fighter in this division, so but he still has to defend this belt. So we got to shoot up guys like Kyoji Horiguchi, who is good, but he's not ready for Demetrius Johnson. Well, and you got to fast track these guys because there's no one else for him to fight.
Well, you saw that you may have seen the clip where he was like, "Yo, even though John Lineker didn't make weight, I'd fight that dude," because that's where we're at. Like, that's how crazy it is right now that the dude is like, "Yo, I'll fight him. Fuck it, he's overweight. Whoop his ass." You know, it's like this is what it's come to. And,
he was.
You know, and the reason I broke out the Reebok deal isn't so much because of, you know, Paige VanZant getting the deal, but I just like that Dana White, dude. It didn't even take 2 hours for him to be like, "Yeah, well, you know, she's a unique personality." That's just old man speak for she hot as fuck. And, you know, I'm trying to get that out.
Like, we haven't seen enough of her to be like she's a unique personality.
Right.
Like, I've seen that one interview, that one scrum she did, the same, because it was the same, I think it was part of the same video package with that Demetrius Johnson interview we were just talking about.
Right.
Where she was talking to people. Like, that was the only time I've ever seen her speak.
Well, that's it.
I saw her fight, and that's it.
Yeah, but you know what gets me? It's like, you know, Daddy Dana doesn't come out to defend cats, but, you know, oh no, you know, she's a unique personality. Really? You know, why weren't you like that with some of these other dudes on the come up, you know? But again, it's talking about the picking and choosing, and an MMA site put out an article today about the double standard between quote unquote marketable fighters, non-marketable fighters, and, you know, fighters who have to pretty much self-promote. And it was funny because they were talking about the parallels for a guy like Cain Velasquez. Cain Velasquez is probably, without a doubt, the most dangerous human being on this planet. You know what I mean? Like, this is a guy, he loses the belt, comes back, mauls the guy that he lost the belt to, obliterates a guy, you know, Easter Island head, Bigfoot Silva just detonates that guy's dome on pay-per-view. And it's just like, yeah, he's going to fight Verdum and Verdum's chilling. But it's just like, Verdum is going to get cracked over the head too, and it's game over,
Yeah, I mean, Cain Velasquez is, if he can stay healthy, probably way better than every other heavyweight.
Thank you.
Just way, way better than every other heavyweight.
Yeah, so, it's just the Reebok deal, it disturbed me because you know what's happening? You're creating resentment among your own fighters. Like, I'm curious, I'd like to know what's Reebok's criteria, like, to establish for a deal, because, does it come from the UFC? Like, do they go, hey, listen, what do you think of this fighter? Does the UFC co-sign that deal? You get what I'm saying? Like, I'd love to know the inner workings of that.
I'm guessing it has something to do with the UFC because, like, Reebok, my thoughts on what Reebok wants out of this, Reebok just sees an opportunity to get their apparel out there. Like, I think Reebok cares, but I don't think they care as much as some people do. Like, I don't think Reebok is really out here scouting people
to
sponsor. And I think a lot of it has to do with who the UFC is like, well, we kind of want to pay them more because they're interesting. So how about you go ahead and sign them to a Reebok deal because it's another way for us to pay them without telling the commission exactly how much we gave them.
Right, and that's what gets me. It's like I just want to know like how that's established. Like I said, do they just sit there and they go, yo, like Carla Esparza was just like, yeah, it's all good. I'm the champ. Reebok may not want to, and from a marketability standpoint, it's like these guys, and you and I talked about this. They take the seminar. The UFC puts out the big seminar. Yo, you guys are gonna come in and you're gonna learn how to operate social media, and you're gonna learn how to do all this, and you're gonna learn how to do all that. And it amuses me because it's essentially the UFC telling them, yeah, you're just gonna do your own PR. You're just gonna go out there and do what you got to do, and it'll be all right. We'll just collect the chips off your body. And it was a discussion me and a buddy of mine had yesterday about just the corporate culture and trying to put labels and pretty faces on everything. And I thought about that afterwards as I was reading more about the Reebok deal, and it's no more apparent than that. It's like yo, Carla Esparza is a cute chick. Does she look like, maybe she works in a bodega, maybe, but that doesn't take away from the fact that she probably whooped my ass, you know what I'm saying? Like, but you get where I'm coming from, right? Like it's just, it's suspect the way that goes down. You know what I mean? Like, you're trying to put a face on the organization. Like, you're going to put Ronda in that category. You're gonna put Conor McGregor in that category. You see what I'm saying? And it's not even and I'm not even talking race. I'm just talking about marketing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, John Jones is in that category.
There you go.
Which is strange because John Jones has done everything to alienate himself
from
that category, but he's still technically in that category.
No, well, in John Jones's case, you know what I've realized? I think John Jones just sabotages himself because he hates that shit. Like, he doesn't, like, he wants the dough, but the dude doesn't want the bullshit. You know what I mean? It's like it's like what Nick Diaz does, but not as destructive. You get what I'm saying?
I could see that. Also, I think a lot of it is he got really rich, really young.
Yeah.
in a way that kind of inflates your ego. When you got rich off the fact that you could beat another man to death, like that's what made you rich. Like, my ego would be terrible.
Yep.
Right? I'm pretty sure, like, he, at times, has this invincibility thing about himself.
Well, dude, Ronda's in the same camp.
A couple times.
Ronda's in the same camp, dude. Think about it. Ronda right now, she does interviews, and she's just like, yeah, I'm good. Like, it's like, oh, are you worried about? Nope. And don't get me wrong, that's great. The confidence is fantastic. But it's just like you just look at the interviews. It's like, yeah, you're getting in there with Cat Zingano, and she's like, yeah, Cat Zingano's probably going to be a bit more of a challenge because she knows Cat Zingano's not coming in there. Cat Zingano, a great example, is a chick that had all this hardship all this stuff going on. She not trying to go out there and look cute. You know what I mean? Like, it's part of the job, but you see she's not trying. Dude, she's trying to go out there and bust somebody's dome, you know? Like, that's her job.
Yeah.
And you see how it's being approached with each of these fighters. And, you know, going back to the conversation me and my buddy had yesterday, it was about the fact that, you know, you have exactly that, the marketability. You know, you go in a UFC gym, you know, you're going to see Ronda Rousey up on the wall, Anderson Silva up on the wall, GSP up on the wall, you know, because that's how it works. I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't know why the fuck Dominic Cruz is up on the wall up there, because if he is up on the wall, he should be wrapped up in a bandage. You should only see his eyes.
Oh, man. Dominic Cruz. That's such a disappointment. He was such a great fighter. It's so disappointing.
But that's what I'm saying. So, you know, I just feel that the standard that they're trying to establish, the quote unquote, you know, corporate atmosphere is hurting. And like I said, you're making fighters bitter with each other. Val said it in the chat. Dudes are going out there having glorified sparring sessions. You know, dudes aren't even trying to fight hard.
That far.
Well, dude, some of those pay-per-view fights, you know, be suspect as shit.
Well, I mean,
the $60 fights.
I mean, the first couple pay-per-views this year, I mean, outside of the John Jones one, which was a really good pay-per-view, some of them have been kind of weak. I mean, I'm gonna be honest, but I wouldn't go out and say that sparring matches, but you know.
Yo, just super casual. And, you know, this leads me into Fight Night 60. You know, I watched the Fight Night 60 card, and it's just like decision. Oh, a Kimura. Thank you. You know, and then it's like, after that Kimura, we got another decision, and then it was just like, oh, my God, it's like decision central out there, you know?
Well, but that Fight Night 60 card has some terrible fucking fights on it.
And then, you know, like Neil Magny is you know, upper card. I mean, no disrespect to Neil Magny, but I'm like, dude, you are opener on most of these cards. That's how you know there's too much MMA on fucking television.
Hey, Neil Magny's won 6 fights in a row. Like, I mean, you can't take that. I mean, I think they said he has the longest, besides
longest active winning streak.
Yeah, I mean, he's won 6 fights in a row. I can't name a single person he's beat.
There you go.
But he's won 6 fights in a row.
There you go. And then, you know, I thought Cole Miller and Max Holloway were going to have a dope fight, and same thing, fucking decision. It wasn't until Benson Henderson went out there and nearly got obliterated by a giant that I didn't really like I didn't, you know, my eyes didn't perk up. Like, I was watching, like, I had the fight playing in the background, and, you know, I'd look away from my screen to see what was going on. Like, all right. And then, you know, I go and I rewatch it. When Benson Henderson was fighting this dude, it was like, guy comes up and Benson Henderson looked like he was fighting Brock Lesnar. I'm like, yo, what the fuck is going on? Like, am I watching Pride?
I mean, like, I like the Max Holloway fight, but that's mostly because I like Max Holloway striking.
Right.
Like, I love watching him strike. I mean, Cole Miller had no chance against him, and Cole Miller bitching about those headbutts that were completely incidental. Was just annoying. But, yeah, Ben Henderson should not stay at welterweight.
No.
At all.
No. We talked about that. You were like, nope.
And yeah, like, Brandon Thatch is a good prospect at welterweight, and he almost, like, he was hurting Ben Henderson a lot. Mm-hmm. And I think if Brandon Thatch had more experience, because if you go back and look at Brandon Thatch's record, like, he's never been out the first round.
Right.
Like, he's destroyed everybody in the first round, and I think, and it was clear that, like, after the second round, he was tired. He's just never been in those deeper waters. I think if you had caught him after he had a couple fights in those deeper waters, that fight wouldn't have looked like that, because he was clearly bigger, stronger, hit way harder than Ben Henderson. So him, like, calling out Roy McDonald, who, you know, got announced for a fight, that fight wouldn't have gone well for him. Roy McDonald would have hurt Ben Henderson. Yeah, but Ben Henderson is just, he's a really big lightweight, but he's a small welterweight.
Well, you know what I like that Ben Henderson is doing? Ben Henderson realizes that, like, people wild out for, like, guys like Cowboy Cerrone, you know, guys that just, you know, they sit by the phone rings, and it's like when It's like the old 60s Batman cartoon when the red phone would ring and Batman would open up the head and turn the dial and slide down in his costume. That's Donald Cerrone and some of these other guys. They just buy the phone, waiting. They run in a closet, come out in fight shorts and gloves, ready to spar and cut weight. Like, Benson Henderson's like, yo, I got to be one of these dudes because right now, nobody's giving a fuck about me. Every time people talk about me, it's me getting kicked in the face by Showtime Pettis. Like think about that. Like, I like Benson Henderson. I feel he's a marketable guy. He's got a great look, incredibly talented.
Right.
But you got to look at it like, dude, the only thing people associate you with is catching that kick to the dome and not being put to sleep by it. Like, think about that. Think about how they market it, which is weird. Like, oh, Benson Henderson's tremendous fighter, blah, blah, blah. But to the casual fan, they'll be like, yo, wasn't that the dude that ate the kick off the cage?
Yeah, I mean, the thing with Ben Henderson is, one, his fighting style changed once he got the belt.
Yep.
Which I think hurt him a lot. Like, he got real, I won't say hesitant, because he was never really hesitant. But he was far less aggressive. Because it was at one time Ben Henderson was out there trying to maul you.
Yep.
Like, slam you all over the place, trying to rip your head off with guillotines, just all over the place. And then, like, he won the belt and kind of was like, well, I want to keep this belt, so I'm going to fight in a fashion that I'm going to win. It's just not going to be super fun to watch. And I think that hurt him. And, after losing to Rafael dos Anjos and then losing to Cerrone, he needed to reinvent himself. I do not condone fighting with that toothpick in his mouth. That is stupid. But
yo, that is a recipe for disaster. And it's like, dude, if you're trying to make that like a trademark, like, yo, I'm gonna go in there with this. It's like, you do realize one day you're gonna get caught in such a way that toothpick is going through that cheek.
Going through that cheek. Get hit with you get hit with something that like makes you swallow it.
Yep.
It's just nah.
Yeah, nah. And it's like, nah. And the thing that gets me is, they put the mouth guard on before they walk in the cage, and you open your mouth for the mouth guard. It's like, don't you see the toothpick in there before he goes in the cage? Like, I was thinking about that. I'm like
I don't.
I'm like, yo, y'all really aren't doing a good job out there.
Yeah, like, how does he get that in there? Like, it just, like, y'all need to, like, they need to make sure he doesn't do that. Like, that's not a good idea. Because, I mean, hell, you can get knocked out and your body does that weird knockout breathing and you swallow a toothpick. Like, yep. It's not a good idea. But, I mean, good for him winning that fight. I don't think he has any kind of future as a welterweight, but, good. It was a great fight, though.
All right. Well, looking at it like this, I mean, he called out Rory McDonald, whatever. If he had to take another fight at 170, who would you give him at this point?
I mean, at 170, because of who he is, you can't just give him anybody. So, I mean, I give him somebody like I don't know, Eric Safadine.
That would be a
like
good
that.
fight.
Like, because you can't just give him a nobody because of who he is. So, somebody like Tarek Safadine or Tyron Woodley or somebody like that.
It's funny. Him and T Wood would probably have a dope fight.
Yeah, like if they engage, both their styles kind of lend themselves to not punching sometimes. Tyron Woodley, if he doesn't like take your heart like early in the fight, he's gonna stand around and like look at you a lot.
It's funny. I always felt that and this was probably I would have given Ben Henderson like Josh Koscheck. That would have been that. I wouldn't mind that fight, or a Diego Sanchez at 170. There's a couple possible fights out there, but when you start going into that upper water of the top 5 dudes at 170, there's a lot of killers there. A lot of bad dudes up there.
Also, dudes that are really fucking big.
Yeah.
Rory McDonald is huge.
Johnny Hendricks, dude,
Rory McDonald's
lumberjack.
huge.
Lumberjack.
Johnny Hendricks, fucking giant. Robbie Lawler's really big. Like, none of these dudes are small.
Right.
Like Brandon Thatch was big, but like Brandon Thatch was really big too. I mean, he's a huge welterweight, but like, no, like, nah.
Yeah, because it's like at 55, if he goes back down to 55, it's like, all right, there's a lot of good matches at 55, but it's like, what match are you going to give him that's worthy of not only a good pay-per-view fight, but also a fight that at least can put him back on the roadmap? Because that's the thing. You can't give him a dude. It almost feels like he's fought everybody down there.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to give him anybody right now because you don't want him. He's not, unless Rafael. Well, hell, I guess unless Rafael dos Anjos beats Anthony Pettis, there's no way they're doing another Pettis.
Nope.
Ben Henderson fight.
Nope.
Not anytime soon, anyway. Like, you can't. Like,
Yep.
The 2 times he lost to him, he jumped off the cage and kicked him in the face. The other time, he snapped his arm. Like, it's just, you can't just give him that fight right now. So, I don't know. I don't know who you give him at 155, to be honest with you.
If I had to give him a fight at 170, that's just, and this is a fight just to see the poor guy get paid, I'd make him GSP's first fight back.
I mean,
I would
if
though.
GSP ever wants to come back.
Nah, dude. Well, you know what it is with GSP, and this is something that, you know, given what went down at the hearing today, GSP just feels that if he's gonna go out there and quote unquote tarnish his legacy, he wants to tarnish his legacy against the guy that'll go out on his fucking shield. You know what I mean? Like, he doesn't want to go fight a dude, he's clean, lose to a dude, and then it comes out that the dude was on some shit, because the L is an L at that point. Even if they rule it a no contest, you lost. You know, like mentally it messes with you. And looking at GSP, considering, you know, how mental of a fighter he is, you know, he's that, you know, you gotta, this entire announcement that the UFC did wasn't just for, you know, their own safety and everything else, but it's because they hope to entice him to come back. Yeah,
I mean, they want
yep.
him to come back. I don't ever think he's coming back though. Like, I just feel like George St. Pierre, and not because he's scared or any bullshit like that. I just think he's at the point that George St. Pierre was always the dude. Always a dude. That was not, he was going to get out before the sport got him.
Yep.
Like, he was never going to be the guy who ended up like Chuck Liddell or ended up like, or any of the other guys. Like, he was never going to be that guy. Like, you're not going to see him forgetting stuff. Like,
nope.
And the moment, and I think the moment that he realized that, like, and when you know, after Johnny Hendricks fight, he's like, I don't remember most of the fight. Like, I think that really scared him. And I think he just made the decision, like, I don't have to do this anymore.
Right.
And I don't have any issue with him feeling that way. Like, I know some people don't like that, which I find that hilarious, that you're going to tell another grown man what they can and cannot do. But, you know, he's rich. He's popular. He's forever going to probably be rich. The UFC is probably going to pay him in some way for the rest of his life. So if I'm GSP, I'm not even thinking about coming back. I'll show up. I'll be at events. I'll do some promoting for you, but I'm not fighting again. There's no reason I should.
Dude's out there putting videos of him doing gymnastics. And this is me at the training center doing gymnastics. Yo, his videos are the best. I am working on my handspring. It's just like, what the fuck are you doing? It's just like, oh, I saw the last video he did. Dudes like doing cartwheels and flips and shit. I'm like, okay, gotcha.
Yeah, he ain't got nothing. He's rich and famous. Like, he ain't doing nothing but sitting around doing flips and shit. Like, he ain't worried about fighting no more. He probably ain't hit no pads in like 2 years.
Well, that's the funny thing. You know, they were doing the fight. They were doing that card in Canada. And allegedly Dana White called him like, yo, man, you want to fight on this card? And GSP is like, I have not hit a pad in 2 years.
He probably hasn't. Like if I'm GSP, I'm like, man, fuck that shit. I am chilling,
dude. But I like that Dana called him.
In the head.
I like that Dana called him. I like that Dana called him like, yo, George, you know, we're gonna be up in Canada. You think, you know, you want to put that mitts on?
He's like, hell no.
Dudes looking.
From what I hear, they offered him the Anderson Silva fight before all this stuff about Anderson Silva getting popped and whatnot came out. They offered him an Anderson Silva fight.
Of course they did.
And he was like, no.
Dude,
he was like, I don't want to.
Dude sitting in a mansion in Canada covered in snow with a shield hanging on the wall that says, to George, thanks for the memories, Chris. like you on a first name basis with Chris Evans and shit. Got a little shield. Got one made up with a Canadian flag on it. Just chilling. It's like, yo, I just like the fact that Dana was like, yo, we just going up to Canada. You think you want to, you know, put on the pads, go out there? Like, dude, are you crazy? He's like, I can imagine that phone call. Like, no, I'm okay. Haven't hit pads in 2 years.
Yeah, like it ain't no reason. It's no reason whatsoever that he should come back fighting.
Nope.
But I mean, hell. I mean, if he does one day, I mean, I'll watch it. But I don't think he has any reason whatsoever.
I'd give him that Benson Henderson fight, dude. Just because Benson Henderson would take it in a heartbeat, and he would get paid. And I just think that GSP is gonna go in there, and you know, the amount of respect just from a martial artist standpoint would give us a crazy fight.
Oh no, I think if they were actually to fight, it would be fun to watch. Like, yep. I think it would be a really good fight if they ever actually fought. But you know, that would be an interesting fight. But he is also someone who is way bigger.
This is true. This is true. I did want to switch gears, man, because I gotta admit the Bellator card was better than the Fight Night card. Even though I was heartbroken with Melvin Manoff getting killed by Alexander Shlemenko. I was like, oh, come on. Dude, I just screamed at the TV. I'm like, yo, what the fuck?
Melvin's chin is gone.
I know,
it's completely gone. I mean, he's been fighting for a long time, and his chin is completely gone. Like, it doesn't even take hard shots now to knock him out. So, I mean, he's not the type of dude that you ever. He's a dude that's getting out too late. Because what the hell else is Melvin Manoff going to do?
I don't know. So, man.
You know, yeah, like he has nothing else he can do. He's a guy who's been fighting professionally his whole life.
Dude, I yelled at the screen and I'm like, yo, how did you get caught with the Shoni Carter? Like, why? just yelling at the screen. Like if I was there and shit. I was just so mad, dude. I was like, yo, this is some bullshit. And then the Chris Honeycutt fight, you know, him and Clayton McFarlane, I'm like, yo, you folded that guy up. He was just teeing off on the guy's body. I'm like, you know, the ref should kind of step in there. Kind of should get in there.
Yeah, Honeycutt.
Save that dude.
Yeah, Honeycutt's a really good prospect. He's a really good prospect. He looks good. I think he trains out of AKA. He looked really good.
Yeah, I was blown away. And then the Pat Curran fight. I always feel Pat Curran is another guy that everybody, you know, is always on everybody's radar. Then he goes out there and it's like, you know, to quote Joe Rogan, which Curran is showing up?
Yeah, Pat Curran is. The thing with Pat Curran is, like, if you don't make him fight you, or you're really, like, if you're also a counter fighter, he's probably not going to do anything to you. Like, he's a really good fighter and all that, but he has his quirks are like what we saw. Like, he will sometimes lay back and let you leg kick him and take him down, and then at the end of the fight just be like, oh, wait, I lost? Oh. Like, he doesn't ever switch into that next gear sometimes.
Yep, and that's what it is, and it's crazy. And, you know, Bellator is trying to put on good cards, but I was like, wow, the Bellator card was surprisingly good. Surprisingly.
Yeah, it was better than some of the other cards. I mean,
well, dude,
some of the other cards are pretty damn bad. But
well, the card, the fights on deck, freaking King Mo and James Colossus Thompson, like why is this happening? But I still want to see it.
Yeah, there's a pretty good chance King Mo's gonna knock him out. But I mean,
that's a big dude, man.
Yeah, he is, but he's also not very good at fighting. So, I mean, it should be interesting to see. But I mean, Bellator is the organization that's just gonna put on fights. They don't particularly care who's fighting or anything like that. They're just gonna put on fights.
Yep. Now it's no more tournaments. Just like, Kimbo's gonna fight Tito next month. Like what? Like that's what they do.
Yeah, like just random fights. Like they're not really worried about who's fighting who or anything like that. They're just fights.
So I did want to talk about, UFC announced that they finalized UFC Fight Night 64, and that was supposed to have Uriah Faber, Rafael Assunção, but that was canceled due to Assunção's injury. So Damian Maia's fight with Ryan LaFleur is the main event on that card.
Ooh.
See what I'm saying, man? This is what I'm saying. Like your main event is Ryan LaFleur, Damian Maia. Gilbert Burns is taking on Josh Thompson. Ben Saunders is taking on Eric Silva. You should have swapped those two fights right there. Shayna Baszler is fighting Amanda Nunes. Andre Feely's the opener for the main card. It's just like, why is this card on TV?
I mean, there's a couple fights that look like the Andre Feely fight sounds good. The Gilbert Smith Josh Thompson fight sounds like a good fight. Most of that card doesn't sound horrible.
Right.
But that main event. Why was that the main event?
But dude,
that doesn't make me want to watch that.
There you go. That's exactly it. It's like, yo, Damian Maia, he's all right, but come on, man.
Yeah, like no.
There you go.
No.
But that's what happens. And then on the flip side, Fight Night 60, that's the one that's going down in Jersey. Machida and Rockhold is your main event. Yoel Romero and Jacare is the co-main. Those fights are going to be bananas. Max Holloway and Cub Swanson is going to be a problem. Patrick Cummins taking on OSP. Felice Herrig, Paige VanZant. Jim Miller's fighting on that card. He's taking on Paul Felder because, he could just get out of his house and walk down the block and jump in the cage. Aljamain Sterling and Takeya Mitsugaki's on that card. Eddie Gordon's on that card. GM Volante's on that card. See, that's a solid card.
That sounds like a really good card from top to bottom.
Yep. And then on the flip side, the Ricardo Lamas, Chad Mendes are main eventing UFC Fight Night 63. Co-main is Iaquinta and Masvidal. And then Michael Chiesa and Mitch Clark are on that card. And then that's the return of Juliana Pena and Clay Guida's on that card. The opening fight, dude, Diego Ferreira and Dustin Poirier.
That should be good. Isn't Dustin Poirier moving back up to 154? Yeah, moving up to 155, which I don't think is a good idea. But those other two cards you named sound like good cards. The first one you named, though.
Yeah. Well, can I tell you?
Flair in a main event is just no.
Yeah. Well, dude, I forgot Frank Mir was fighting on Sunday. I'm like, what? Frank Mir's fighting Sunday.
Yeah, I don't care about that fight. I don't care about that fight. Like, I'm watching that card simply for the Michael Johnson Edson Barbosa fight.
Yep.
But I'm probably not going to watch that main event. Like, there's a decent to good chance. Like, I'm not going to watch the main event. Like,
I want to see that main event because I know somebody's going to the hospital. That someone's going to the hospital.
It's going to be 5 rounds of horrible.
Yeah, it's
either going to be 1 round of a whole lot of violence or 5 rounds of horrible.
Yep. It's either somebody's getting crippled or they're just going to do the dance. They're going to do the dance for 25 minutes. I'll tell you what, though.
Yeah, and I don't know if I want to sit around for the dance.
Nah, you know what it is? Once that fight goes into the second, if you see a lot of circling to the left, circling to the right, so it's just like, nope, I'm good. Hit that eject button, punching out. As a matter of fact, there's a WWE pay-per-view that night, so it's gonna be like split screen, punching out. On the flip side, though, the UFC heading to Manila actually got them to re-sign Felipe Nover. He got 3 victories outside of the UFC, and now he's fighting on that card.
The next Anderson Silva.
Yeah, remember that? The next Anderson Silva is right. Frankie Edgar, Uriah Faber's your main. Taehyung Bang is taking on John Tuck. Felipe Nover's on that card. Zhang Li Peng, of course, from the Ultimate Fighter, taking on Kajan Johnson. So, they're trying to stack that card. I mean, they're going into Manila. They're trying to get that money. And I'm just like, okay, that's good. But your main event is 2 guys that have 0 relationship to Manila at all. Like Frankie Edgar and Uriah
I'd rather
Faber.
that fight have been the main event of the card that Uriah Faber was already going to be on.
Right.
So, I'm going to watch Frankie Edgar and Uriah Faber fight because that would be awesome. But is that fight at 145 or 135?
I think it's at 145.
Oh, okay.
I think Faber's going to go up to 145.
From what I heard, they both were offered shots against TJ Dillashaw.
Yeah, and it was weird because Uriah Faber was like, nah. It's like, really, dude? Why? Like,
well, I mean, they train together. They train together. I know why Frankie didn't want it. Like I heard, Frankie was like, look, I'm like 1 fight away from fighting for the 145 title again, and I kind of want to do that. So I see why Frankie said no. I have no idea why Uriah Faber said no, because, y'all train together, but, TJ Dillashaw, I think, has said he'd fight him for the right amount of money. So
Frankie Edgar's trying to get that payday. Let's be real. Frankie Edgar's trying to take that fight, trying to sit in the cut, wait for that Jose Aldo McGregor fight, praying to God that McGregor wins so that he could just get that payday. He's not stupid.
Yeah, I mean, fighting TJ Dillashaw, cool. You got a belt, but then you just had a 135 belt. Like nobody.
Yep.
I mean, I would watch the fight, and I'm sure a lot of people will watch the fight because he's a recognizable name and everything.
Right.
But also, you don't want to be the Kenny Florian. He's not Kenny Florian. Like he's a dude that actually had a title. But you don't want to be like Kenny Florian and keep going down in weight. It's just, he can go down a weight, and I personally wouldn't look at him like Kenny Florian because he was a really undersized lightweight who's now an undersized featherweight who could probably fight at flyweight if he really wanted to.
Yeah, dude. But Zoolander didn't know what the fuck he wanted to do. By Zoolander, for those of you that don't know, that's Kenny Florian. He didn't know what the fuck he wanted.
I know. Yeah, he just wanted a belt, and he damn near starved himself to get down to 145, and it did not fare well for him. Dude,
I thought by the time he came down looking out like a skeleton, I'm like, yo, why don't you just have the flies in your eyes like those commercials late at night? Like straight starvation station. I'm like, yo, come on, man. What you doing?
Like, you're not beating Jose Aldo like that. Like, that is not going to work.
Nope, not happening. So, of course, it wouldn't be an MMA segment without the obligatory CM Punk update. He did an interview for a TV station in Milwaukee, and he was saying that Brock Lesnar called him up and said that he was going to help him get ready. And I said to myself, does that mean you're going to be training at the Death Clutch facility where, there's only one fighter and his name is Brock Lesnar? Maybe Paul Heyman will hold some pads for you while you do some work. Like, I'm like, what is, like, don't get me wrong, Brock Lesnar from a wrestling standpoint, he's going to, if it was a question that, I'm going to help him work on his wrestling, there's nobody I wouldn't want to learn from because, hello, Brock Lesnar, NCAA monster. Like I also look at it from that standpoint too. You take out of it what you put into it. It's like, you're not learning any striking with Brock Lesnar, but you sure as fuck are learning some wrestling.
I kind of think like Brock Lesnar would have the syndrome that you see some really good basketball and football players. You're able to do it, but you're not able to teach it. Like I just kind of feel like he's so physically gifted that like he'd show him something, CM Punk wouldn't be able to do it, and he'd probably get like frustrated. Like, why can't you pick up this other giant human being like it's nothing? Like I can. Because he's so physically gifted. I mean, I'm sure he knows technique and everything, but a lot of Brock Lesnar was just pure freak athlete.
Yeah. But, it's funny because he's like, Brock said He helped me. He said he offered me all his help, you know, even if I have questions, you know, it's cool. You know, he was like, you know, he's a good guy to know. And I just said to myself, I'm like, yo, I'd pay to see that. Like, yo, we're going to go in there and we're going to roll. And, you know, Brock Lesnar comes out, skull cap on, you know, Jack Link's beef jerky fight shorts. All right, we're going to roll. CM Punk is like, dude, you know we're on mats, right? You know, just in case you forget. Just in case you forget where we're at, you know we're on mats, right? Brock Lesnar's like, yeah, it's all good. You see CM Punk get suplexed out through the side of the building, you know. But it's just crazy because, you know, he got interviewed by the station. Then they asked him, I was impressed. They were like, yo, how do you feel training with Ben Askren after all that shit he talked about you being signed? And he was like, yo, I agreed with everything Ben Askren said. He goes, you know, but me and Ben talked and then we were on the same page. And, you know, this is something that people forget. He said, yo, I was offered this opportunity and I would have been a fool to say no. Can't fault the dude. Like, yo, you're going to get in this cage. Here's this money. You might get killed in there, but hey, if somebody came here and said, Ben, you're going to go in there and you're going to get in there with a prime Mike Tyson, you got to just survive 5 minutes. You know you're getting killed immediately. But at least you're going to say, fuck it, you know, you know, maybe I'll get lucky. Maybe not. Otherwise, this money I'm getting is paying these medical bills. You know what I mean? Like you're not.
Yeah.
The opportunity presented itself, and I'm sure the UFC was like, yeah, we're going to give you X. And he's like, well, shit, you know, I diet down for 6 weeks. I train, you know, maybe I get in there. Maybe it's a good 15 minutes. Maybe it's not. But think about it. 15 minutes. You win or you lose. You know, 15 minutes, you getting paid.
Exactly. Like, he's probably going to fight 1, maybe 2 times, if he ever actually fights.
True.
Because I wouldn't be surprised if he never actually fights. But, I mean, he's probably going to fight 1 or 2 times, and that's it. So, I don't know. I don't have any problem whatsoever with that. So
it's just funny to me, you know, that Ben Askren, you know, Ben Askren kept it real. And you know, you can't even fault that because Ben Askren, he's mad as fuck because, you know, he wants to go into UFC and thrash dudes. And Dana White's like, nope, you're a boring ass dude. Sorry. like straight up. He's like, Ben Askren's like, yo, can I come in there and rock? Nope. Boring as shit. Stay home.
Like, the thing is, like, I don't think it's just that he's boring because they found Jake Shields. Like, I don't think it's just that he's boring. It's also because Ben Askren has gone out of his way to antagonize the UFC.
Yep.
And, like, because I highly doubt it has anything to do with him being boring. They'll sign you if you're boring. Like,
yeah, but you know Dana White.
You keep winning like it.
Again, yeah. Dana White's super vindictive, dude. You know that. He'll be like, nope, boring as fuck. Not happening.
Yeah. Like, Dana White don't care if you're boring. They want all the best fighters. It's just like you have made a point to alienate them. And they're like, well, fuck you too then. You're just not ever going to be in the UFC.
Well, you know what'll be crazy, dude, and I hate to say it, but it's like, yo, if Paul Daly gets back in the UFC and Ben Askren doesn't get to get his ass in that cage at least once, it's just a tragedy. Because I'm not going to lie,
yeah, I mean,
boring or not, Ben Askren could probably thrash half of those dudes at 170.
I don't know about half, because if he's so one-dimensional, I think he beat some dudes.
Dude, but from 6 to 10.
I don't think he's as good. Huh?
From 6 to 10 in that ranking, dude. 6 to 10, Ben Askren could take those dudes from 6 down.
Oh, from 6 to 10? From 6 to 10, yeah. But some top 5 dudes would probably hurt him. Like, I'd be scared for him against Matt Brown.
Yeah, well,
because, you'll take Matt Brown down for a second. Like, do you really want to be on the feet with him at any point?
Yeah, that's just because Matt Brown got a couple bodies in a fridge, dude. I wouldn't want to be on. I wouldn't want to fight
Brown
that
is
dude.
A psycho.
Yeah, dude, fuck that.
Or Johnny Hendricks. Like, what is he gonna do to Johnny Hendricks?
Yeah. Well,
or Robbie Lawler, or them top 5 dudes like that. Nah.
Well, you know what was funny? Of course, he got asked about the similarities between MMA and pro wrestling, and he said the best response that validated the conversation I had last night. He says, and I quote, "I think MMA is pro wrestling." He goes, if you go back to the early 1900s and the whole genesis of professional wrestling, and then you go back to the early beginnings of MMA, it was all pro wrestlers. It's like, yeah, kind of right. It's just one, the outcome is scripted and one isn't. That's it.
Yeah, I mean, MMA and pro wrestling, I know some MMA fans hate to know there's parallels between them, but there's large parallels between them. And there's no big issue with it. So I don't know. Some MMA fans will get real annoyed, like, oh, there's nothing alike. Yeah, and there are a lot alike. You just, I mean, yeah, the UFC isn't scripted, but, well, some old school MMA fights were scripted. So, you know, hell, there's a lot of prior fights that were worked.
Shit, who you telling?
I mean, as much as it's, you know, like, as much as people hate to believe that, like, there's a lot of prior fights that were pure works. So, hell, Anderson Silva might have been in the work. So, I mean,
yeah, well, this is true. The UFC Fight Club fight card for Australia started taking some shape. Mark Hunt is taking on Stipe, which definitely I think is going to be a brawl and a half. And they put Beck Rawlings on that card because why wouldn't they? You know, it's like, yeah, kind of let the chick fight over there. But yeah, they're actually doing it in the U.S. It's airing May 9th, and I believe that the delay is gonna be that they get it that Friday and then we get it that Saturday.
Oh, okay.
So real crazy card. Brad Tavares is on that card fighting Robert Whittaker. Alex Chambers is taking on Kalen Curran on that card. I think they're probably gonna add 1 or 2 fights because it's kind of light right now. But definitely cool that they're going into Australia. You know, a couple Australian fighters on the roster, so that'll be good for them. Definitely some exposure.
Yep.
So let's talk about this big situation. This 4-hour Nevada State Athletic Commission hearing, which pretty much ended with them saying, yeah, Anderson Silva failed for taking a whole bunch of shit, and Nick Diaz failed for smoking weed, and Hector Lombard failed for taking some shit. So, yeah, everybody's temporarily suspended. Oh, Ashley Evans Smith, you too. I'm like, so, yeah, we're going to reconvene, and you guys are going to come back in like a month or two. And I'm just like, yo, come on. We know. It's like, here's what's going to happen. In Anderson Silva's case, he had drostanolone. That was he tested positive for that on the January 9th drug test, along with androstane. And then in the post-fight test, he had oxapan and temazepam, which are used to treat anxiety and insomnia. But, you know, he's normal. I can't sleep. He's normal. I take pills. It's normal. It's okay. You know, like, yo, like, you don't think that the motherfucker had his leg broke, that he didn't need fucking pills for anxiety and insomnia? Like, again, you know, aside from the drug test and all the shit and everybody on their high horses all of a sudden, it's like, you didn't think the motherfucker had anxiety going in there? Like, if you didn't think that, you're an idiot.
Yeah, like, if those two had been what he had been popped for, not the steroids.
Right.
The 2 anxiety medicines, I would have completely understood.
Yep.
Like, if your leg gets snapped in half doing something that you've done probably most of your life, like, you're going to probably be kind of mentally fucked up next time you try to do that thing.
Yep.
Like, those two, like, I had no issue when I heard that. Like, because at first I was like, dude, what the fuck did he get popped for? And then I read up on it. I'm like, oh, wait. Oh, never mind.
Right. But it's just,
like,
it's just weird. Dude failed his pre-fight test, his post-fight test, and I just laugh at it because it's just like, so he failed the pre-fight test, but y'all kind of just swept the results under the rug, and he still fought because Vegas needed to make that money. Let's not kid ourselves.
Also, there's a whole fact that Nick Diaz failed a bunch of tests.
Nick Diaz is like...
And then got sanctioned, like, I think the day before.
Dude, Nick Diaz is in there. Yeah, hey, Nick, about that test. And he's just like... Yeah, about that test, homie. I'll be right back. like, dude went to the bathroom with the J in his hand. Come on, get the fuck out of here. Like, I was just laughing at the commission because they were just fucking stupid. And then the guy that got the eye, got his eye poked by Uriah Faber, he's up there like, yo, I want you to, they're like, get out of here, man. They pretty much just told the dude like, yo, you're out of your fucking mind. Like they're like, yo, get out of here.
I agree with Francisco Rivera. Like, I think that probably should have been turned into a no contest because the direct result of him getting jabbed in the eye was him getting choked out.
This is true.
So I kind of agree with him. But this is Nevada. Like, they don't care.
That was exactly it. Dude, they were talking about it, and you could just see the members of the commission were like, yo, is he done? Like, yo, is he ready? Because I don't want to hear it.
Like, like clearly on video, you can see the dude's finger going into the eye. Like, we don't care.
Yep. Like, no, all right. And then, Ashley Evans Smith, of course, got popped for the diuretic. We knew that was going to be an issue. It was funny though because the Chris Eccles had basically what happened was she took a whole bunch of supplements, quote unquote, and she was unable to specify which, if any, of those supplements caused her to test positive. So Pat Lundvall said that when Ashley Evans Smith said that the banned drug isn't sold in the U.S., she said, I have personal knowledge of this because I take hydrochlorothiazide daily. It deals with high blood pressure and is very common in low dosage to maintain low blood pressure. So she said that, it also helps with weight loss. And she said, 2 weeks out from the fight, the chick was 20 pounds over. A week from the fight, she was 10 pounds over. 10 pounds is a lot to lose in that period of time. That's how you knew something was going on. So she's getting the 9-month suspension.
Why are you 20 pounds over? Good Lord. What are you doing in your training camp?
Dude, it might have been feminine issues, dude. Like, it's always weird.
20 pounds?
Dude, why not? Dude, you don't want to even tell it. You don't even want to tell a woman that, dude. Really? You gained 20 pounds during it? You must want to get stabbed while you're sleeping. What's wrong with you?
I guess, but damn. Like, I don't know. Like, it just freaked. Like, when I heard, like, because I heard this first time I'm hearing 20 pounds over. Like, shit. Like, what were you doing during your training? Like, I understand there's bodily issues that can happen, but what were you doing during your training camp where you knew you had to be a certain weight? You're 20 pounds purely over that weight. Like, I just, damn.
But you know what was crazy? Like I said, she was 20 pounds over 2 weeks out from the fight. But then a week from the fight, she was 10 pounds over. So it's just like she went from 20 to 10. There was serious shit going on to go from 20 to 10 in that week. And then go from
you had no business doing.
Yep. And then you go from 10 to fight ready. And it's just like, all right, no problem. And again, putting on the bag, the sauna suit, going in there, riding the Airdyne, doing all the shit. Yes, you could probably, maybe 5 pounds, maybe. But that's crazy.
You could probably drop 10.
Yeah. But, you'd be dead at that point. Like, it's like, you can't even say, hey, I didn't use anything at that point. Because it's like, stop playing. Just eat the suspension. There's worse shit going on. But,
20 pounds. Shit.
Yeah, dude, that's a lot of weight. But,
yeah, no.
The thing that I took from this entire situation is, and I'm sorry to say it, the Nevada State Athletic Commission is fucking stupid.
They're incredibly stupid. Like I this is my first time really paying real close attention to commissions and everything. Since the John Jones incident, the fact that they're allowing people to fight when in pre-fight testing or in competition testing, they're failing drug tests.
Right.
It's ridiculous to me. And then they come out afterwards like, well, you failed a test. Like, well, you let me fight.
Yep. And that's the problem.
Because honestly, can you really punish these people after you? That's like me stealing something, the cops seeing it then. I go and stealing some money, the cops seeing it then. I spend that money, and then months later, they're like, okay, now we're arresting you. Like, why didn't you arrest me when you initially saw me? Like, stop it at the source. Like, there was no reason. If Anderson Silva failed the steroid test, the fight should have never happened. Nick Diaz should have never been sanctioned the fight.
Right.
If you, I'm not. I won't say I'm an advocate for marijuana, but I don't think it's any sort of performance-enhancing drug.
Well, I just laugh at the fact
it's illegal for you to do.
Right?
Huh?
No, I'm just saying. Go ahead.
Yeah, if it's illegal for you to. Okay. Yeah, if it's illegal for you to do, and you continue to do it, then you obviously ain't trying to fight. You're not trying to fight. So you're breaking a rule, and you need to be punished for that. There shouldn't have been any, we keep testing him over and over till at some point he's clean so we can give him a license.
Dude, I used to when my company, before they relocated, they used to do random drug tests. And you would know if somebody would smoke weed, because the minute that they would be like, oh, we're going to be doing random drug tests this week, I would conveniently bump into people from my job going into GNC to pick up some shit in a red bottle that you drink that allegedly makes your shit clear. Or you'd hear the one dude like, yo, man, can you do that for me? AKA, can X guy A piss in this cup, for $100? And it's just like, you know what it is, dude? It's like, for the amount of headache that smoking weed is causing the commission, it's like, once again, you guys let coke rock. You know what I'm saying? Like every
just the most asinine.
But that's the gag, you know what I mean? Like Nick Diaz, Nick Diaz smoke his L, goes in there, does what he has to do, and they're like, Nick, we gotta suspend you. He's like, go ahead, homie. You think Nick Diaz cares that you're gonna send him home? He said in one.
And I guarantee you, Nick Diaz already knew he was getting suspended. He doesn't give a shit.
Dude, he said in an interview, yo, the fighting gets in the way of me smoking weed. Legit.
Exactly. Like Nick Diaz, I'm 100% sure Nick Diaz was completely aware that he failed all these tests, and he knew, after this, I'm getting suspended.
Yep.
He had, notice that the UFC has basically told you they've stopped Anderson Silva's money. They didn't stop Nick Diaz's money.
Nope.
Because everybody already knew.
Yep.
Nobody was surprised by this. Everybody knew, hey, he's failing these tests. He gonna fight and then get suspended for a while, so we're gonna pay him, I don't know, I guess he probably made close to $1 million. We're gonna pay him this $1 million. We already knew he was getting suspended.
Yep.
Nick Diaz was probably telling Dana White and them, like, yeah, I'm smoking weed. Do with the information as you will.
Dana White probably told Burt Watson, yo, man, I smoked a bag of the good shit last night. Burt Watson's like, yo, shut up. That's how it went. And that's what I mean. Like Nick Diaz, and that's the comedy that I find in the commission. You guys know that the guy's a habitual, he gets habitually popped for smoking weed. It's like, why are you even tripping at this point when you're the same commission that said that, coke is okay?
Which,
yeah, exactly.
The reasoning, like, oh yeah, it's not on our banned substance list, but weed is.
Yep.
Weed is.
Yep.
But not cocaine.
But
not the one that's legal in 20 plus states.
Yeah, but that's the comedy in it. Now, of course, the UFC did their big event today, and based on what was said, Lorenzo Fertitta's out there, looking like little Vince, and he's out there, and as soon as I saw Lorenzo Fertitta doing the talking, I said to myself, yeah, that's just because you can't put Dana out there, because Dana's gonna fuck up. When Lorenzo Fertitta's the guy sitting out there, like, Dana, just chill. So basically what's going to happen is that the UFC is going to institute what they feel is a comprehensive out-of-competition random PED testing. All fighters will be subject to the random testing. How convenient. July 1st, 2015. Oh, gee, what goes into effect in July? I don't know. The Reebok deal? Maybe because Reebok doesn't want to pay motherfuckers that are juiced to the gills?
Well, to the UFC's credit, they had already stated they were going to do this, and then the shit with Kung Lee happened.
Right.
And they were basically like, well, we fucked that up, so we're just going to leave it up to the commissions because we'll probably just fuck it up again. Right. Which was the worst attitude to have about it.
Exactly. Because Kung Lee may have been hot.
Questions. Yeah, like I still have a lot of questions about that Kung Lee shit. Like his explanation for looking like a freaking action figure was like, oh yeah, that was after a good workout and the lighting. Like, no. you probably were on something. You're like 40.
But you know,
you probably were.
The thing that you mentioned, you know, mentioning that, you know, it's like Vitor's the same way. And, you know, that was because of the TRT. Now, based on what the UFC wants to institute, they're saying that approximately 585 fighters will be subject to testing by an independent third party, and they're going to actually be using the WADA testing standards, like the straight Olympic shit. And I laughed when I read that because I said, let's see how many dudes start retiring, changing weight classes, or getting injured. Because it's like
smaller.
Or serious body comp changes. But it's just funny because the minute that they were like, oh, third party, and I'm like, all right, whatever. And as soon as they said, oh yeah, WADA testing standards, I'm like, oh, there you go. That'll do it. Now, according to what they said, they're dealing with global drug testing organizations to create a random drug testing protocol, which they, like I said, are going to institute July 1st. That means that, you know, oh, well, we're fighting in Brazil this month. Yeah, okay, that doesn't mean nothing. You know, like you know how sometimes they went to certain countries and dudes pretty much would skate because the UFC was the one administering the tests. Not happening. They also said that they're going to commit any additional monies to cover in and out of competition testing, and they're going to be performing random PED testing throughout the year. They're saying that in 2013 and 14, they had already spent $500,000 in testing expenses. So basically, any dude that's like, yo, you got to go take this test, and they're like, yeah, well, there's no lab over here. Well, we're going to get you to a lab, and we're going to foot the bill. That's pretty much where they're going. Lastly, the UFC said that they're advocating for longer suspensions and harsher penalties. So it's just like, oh, yeah, you know, you might get that year. Well, we might ask for 2 or 3.
I don't think it'll ever. I don't think on your first offense they're about to get 2 or 3 years out of you. But you won't probably get a year. Your first offense, or get your whole purse taken. So I mean, I like this idea. I think this is the best way to do it. I don't agree with Joe Rogan saying like what do you say 50-60% of MMA is on it. I don't believe it's 50 or 60%. I do think there's a lot of guys on it, but I don't think it's 50 or 60%. I think, like every other sport, has a PED, performance enhancing drug, PED, performance enhancing drug problem. Like every sport there's guys doing it in every sport.
Right.
I think this is good.
Go ahead. Yeah, you can finish.
Yeah, I think it's good that they're going to implement this because it puts the guys that are doing it on notice. Like, look, by July, like if you ain't off it by July, they're going to catch you.
Yep. But here's something. Joe Rogan's assessment about 50-60% of the fighters on performance enhancing drugs. You know why I don't have an issue with that statement? I'll tell you why. Because the definition of performance enhancing drugs can be so vast. We're talking diuretics. We're talking, designer steroids. We're talking HGH. We're talking, you know what I mean? So the definition is very vast, and not for nothing. It's like, like Bas Rutten said in an interview, he's like, yo, you could juice to the fucking gills. It's not going to make your 360 roundhouse better. It's just going to make you look good, and it may improve it a bit, but ability, training is training, and going in the lab is going in the lab, and these guys, they're Joe Rogan says that because Joe Rogan knows some shit. When I saw that and he said that, and a buddy of mine sent me the audio for that, I said to myself, yo, if the dude is saying it, if the guy that works for the fucking company is putting a number out there like that, that's because he knows some shit. That's why
I'm sure there's a lot of dudes on it.
That's what I'm saying. So I saw a couple guys take to Twitter today, and they're just like, yo, man, what the fuck? Joe Rogan's out there, turncoating on the organization that signs his checks. No, it's not turncoating. It's keeping it fucking real. Yeah. I was just informed.
Also, if you're doing it, you shouldn't be.
Right, but I was also just informed via communique, HGH is not considered a PED. But
really?
Yeah, neither are diuretics. All right. Well, that's good to know. And the person who sent me this communique is pretty knowledgeable on the shit, so I know he's on a ball. Yeah. But the fact is that if dudes are out there on the shit, dude, they should know you have a finite amount of time. You know, the clock is definitely ticking. So whatever shit you're on, July 1st is going to come, and that's going to be that. You know, and that's what gets me. And I don't like the fact that, you know, dudes are, you know, people took to Twitter, dude, immediately when Joe Rogan said that. Yo, man, what the fuck? You know, Joe Rogan talking about that. You know, these guys, they support his career. They do that. Yo, Joe Rogan is a guy that fucking talks behind a mic. Screams into a mic for 25-minute clips. He has a successful stand-up career. The guy's a tremendous martial artist. He could probably fuck up half them guys on the roster. And who knows? Maybe Joe Rogan's on some shit. Outside of weed, outside of that, you know, it's like, yo, I just feel that we're in a stage of the game where, and it's gonna sound fucked up, and if I catch shit for it, I don't even care. It's like, yo, either everybody's on it or nobody's on it, but it can't be, you know, the guy that moves the needle, his test is gonna get lost in the mail, and then the guy who's on the grind, putting his work in the gym, is gonna lose to this dude, and then, you know, oh, we just found his test a month later, and yeah, he was on some shit. Sorry. Oh, so I just got my head beat in by a dude that cheated, but it's okay. Sorry. Oh, you know, but we're gonna rule it a no contest. I got my ass kicked. You know, like that's the thing. Like yo, putting an NC on my fight record is not gonna take away from the fact that I'm in this dude's highlight reel getting my head beat in.
Yeah, like I agree with you. Like, either put everybody on it or take everybody off. So, I mean, I'm happy that the UFC is going to do something. And that is what they basically did what they needed to do today. Because I mean, they could have went the other way and not really done anything. So I'm happy they decided to do something to actually have this. We'll see how effective it is, and we'll see how many people they catch. But you know, it should be interesting to see what comes out of this.
Val said Vitor's retiring tomorrow.
Probably.
Well, you know what's funny? He's on that card.
What's why they got rescheduled for?
Him and Weidman are gonna be on Memorial Day weekend. It's him and Weidman, Jones and Rumble, and there was one other big fight that was announced for that card.
Cerrone and Khabib.
Oh yeah, yeah. So, dude, that card, that Memorial Day weekend card, I said, yeah, that's a $60 card. Those three fights right there, barring injuries, knock on wood for that, dude. That's reason enough to plunk down that money.
Yeah. Plus, you know, that's before July, so you know, Vitor is gonna try to win that title, then retire.
Vitor is gonna be like, the young lion is going to win the belt on Memorial Day weekend for Jesus. And then after,
I'm gonna retire, so you don't ever catch me with steroids.
That's it. He's gonna be like, you know, I take this journey. I fought for so long. I'm the champion. I'm going to announce my retirement from the UFC. You know, I want to thank Jesus, my family, for everything that they've done for me in this journey. The old lion is going home, you know, like some fucking real self-righteous, putting himself over type shit. And Weidman's gonna be like, that motherfucker cheated.
Vitor.
Yeah, dude, but you know, it's craziness, man. I just wanted to go into that with you because the UFC is doing the right thing. I'm just worried about what's happening, you know, on the Reebok side of things, where it's like, you know, yeah, the drug test is all well and good, but if it's a dude that's moving the needle, are you guys going to be as aggressive? Like, is that dude going to get the call like, yo, we're randoming, make sure you're not home? or, you know, you get what I'm saying? Like, I'm not trying to be a dick. I'm not trying to be a dick about it, but there is that possibility, you know?
Yeah, you just kind of hope like that kind of thing doesn't happen.
Right.
And we won't know, but you just kind of hope like that's not the kind of thing that happen for this.
Right. But I just had to put that out there. That's why I wanted to save it for the last thing we talked about, because it's like, you know, oh yeah, we're doing all this stuff, but is it for everybody? On paper, yes, but is it though? And that's what's going to be very telling come July 1st.
Yeah, we'll see. Like I said, I'm interested to see who gets popped and who doesn't. Well, not so much who gets popped and who doesn't, because I mean we won't know. But I'm interested to see who are the people that get popped.
There you go. Or which guys conveniently, you know, are going to retire between now and July. How thin is that roster going to get? Because I'm sorry to say, people talk about pride and scripted fights and this, that, and the third. I tell you this though, Fedor wasn't on shit.
But ice cream.
That's it. Fedor was on fucking borscht and mashed potatoes. That was it. Straight mauling dudes out there. That's why, you know, say what you will, but you knew in pride who was right and who was wrong, but ability just you're not erasing ability at that point.
Nah.
So just to wrap things up, as I said earlier, you guys put out you guys broadcasted a brand new Black is the New Black. By the way, your assessment on Drake's Mystery album was quite amusing. I you know, it conveniently found its way across my desk, whether through nefarious means or not remains to be seen, but I just heard it and I felt incredibly emotional after I heard it. So, you know, I just really wanted to go. I really wanted to go and hug the Charmin bear and buy some flowers. I don't know, man. I just we were having a conversation a couple of days ago talking about hip hop and just where it is, and you know, the fact that, you know, we talk about and you know, it's off the cuff, but I figure we throw this out there to wrap it up. It's like dudes is off the cuff, and you know, we're gonna talk about Tupac and Biggie and you know, Slick Rick and all these guys, Das Effects, and all these dudes we grew up listening to, and these guys top of the food chain. And those are the guys that we always say, hey, you know, they're the gold standard. But the guys 10 years younger than us are the guys that are gonna be like, yo, man, what are you talking about? Kendrick Lamar, ASAP Rocky, you know, like those are like you're gonna tell a dude 10, 15 years younger than us, yo, who's on your Mount Rushmore of rap music, and they're gonna go like, you know, ASAP Rocky, Bobby Shmurda, you know, Soulja Boy.
Oh God.
And you're just like, I mean, really? Like, and it's just like, I thought to myself, like, yo, we just like hip hop, as soon as you surpass that age gap, we all automatically date ourselves. Like, I caught myself saying, yo, when I was listening to this shit back in my day, and I was like, fuck, I did that. You know? And
I mean, I already kind of see it like with my little, because I'm 25 and like my little brother's, I was like 19, and like there's a gap in what we listen to.
There you go.
Like compared, like, because he listens to some of the same things I listen to, but there's other things that he's into. Like, I'm like, I don't understand how you like this. Like,
right.
It's just interesting. It's just interesting to see, like, you know, what everybody listens to and everything else. But yeah, I mean, it will be interesting to see, like, you know, in 10 years what everybody thinks is like the best rapper they ever heard and all
right.
that. It'd be interesting to see.
And that's why I brought it up, because, you know, the assessment that you and Taylor give on hip hop kind of still acknowledges the fact that, you know, there's still some classic shit out there, but the bulk of the new shit is questionable. Or the guys that aren't signed and getting shoved down your throats via radio airplay are the guys that might be worth listening to, you know? And it's just one of the things that I like, that I wanted to acknowledge, that you and Taylor really put on blast, you know, for people that are into the stuff and really want to have the shit broken down. That's how it is, man. We're in a stage where 10 years from now we're gonna be the, yo, back in my day, you know, and it's like, damn, it already happened, and that's how it goes.
Yeah, I try not to shit on people's musical tastes. For the
you
most
try
part,
not to
because,
be
you know,
jaded.
Everybody likes what they like.
You try not to be jaded.
I try not to. But like every now and again, like somebody will be like, "Oh, I like this," compared to something else. I'm like, "How? Like, what the fuck you listening to?" But you know, everybody has their own taste and what they like and what they listen to. It's just interesting. It's interesting that what some people like and why. And even some of the older, like, because sometimes I get annoyed with some older dudes and what they like about music and how they kind of like shit on every single thing that's new. Like, there's nothing quality about anything that's new in it. Like, that sometimes annoys me. But that's something, like, if people listen to the show, they'll sometimes get about me and Taylor. Like, we like some of the old stuff, but, like, we're not so into it that we can't see, like, oh, well, there's some new good shit out there, too. And, you know, sometimes some of the older heads, like, they're always like, well, none of all this new stuff is gay. Like, or not. Or you just sound, like, really old right now.
I just figured that I would bring that up because I will say this, and I use this ratio. 80% of the shit that is out there is ringtone music, radio music, and it's not real music. That's it. The other 20%, the shit that's randomly dropped on a Tuesday that a guy fucking tries to sell you out of his trunk sometimes is better than the shit that you got to hear 14 times when you turn on the radio in the morning. That's all. But
I agree.
There you go. But again, make sure you guys check out Black is the New Black. There is a brand new episode. Definitely check that out. It should be up probably tomorrow evening, depending on our broadcast schedule. But you guys definitely got to.
I'll be sending that to you tonight.
There you go. Anything else you want to add?
Nah, man. You know, like you said, just check out Black is the New Black. Tell us what y'all think.
There you go, guys. Of course, you can find Ben on Twitter at Blackout89. Thanks again, bro.
Yep. All right, man. Peace.
Peace. There you have it, man. Me and Ben chopped it up. Little MMA. Definitely a lot of crazy stuff going on out there. Like I said, we got a card Sunday night. I got to get the full specs on the card because I only know that Frank Mir is fighting, and that's because somebody brought it to my attention. Of course, it is probably going to be counter-programming against WWE Fastlane, and we are going to get into that because you know what time it is? It is time to talk some wrestling. Booker T, take it away.
We want the gold, sucker. Hulk Hogan, we coming for you, nigga.
All right, My Take Radio's wrestling segment is brought to you by WWE Shop.com. Use our promo code WWE Save 10 to save $10 on orders over $70 or more. So, you know, if you got that shopping cart full of Randy Orton t-shirts and Dean Ambrose sweatshirts, you could save a couple of dollars courtesy of that promo code. Of course, look for other banners on rageworks.net. We do get a lot of different promo codes we try to share with you guys. Any deals that are out there, we try and put on the site as well. Again, My Take Radio's wrestling segment is brought to you by WWE Shop.com. All right, so before we get into Raw and Fastlane and the week's wrestling news, I have to say that the build-up for WWE Fastlane, you know, it's this Sunday. A lot of people are really going out of their way expecting some sort of top of the food chain level shit. And what ends up happening is I have to tell people, you know, I do got to be Bad News Brown Man and tell people, like, listen, it is the card that is between the Royal Rumble and WrestleMania. It is pretty much the Duff of pay-per-views. That's what it is. You know, it's the designated fat friend of pay-per-views. You gotta suck it up and watch it because it's part of the build-up for WrestleMania. That's really it. Everybody's been out of shape. Oh, this fucking card is... I don't know why they took away the Elimination Chamber. It doesn't matter. It could be the Elimination Chamber, ladder match, Money in the Bank, 3 Stages of Hell, whatever pay-per-view you want to call it. It is between the top 2 pay-per-views. It is basically the mayo on the sandwich at this point. So just enjoy the ride. If you're watching it on the network, you're watching this shit for 10 bones, suck it up, and know that it's going to be part of the build-up for WrestleMania. So there's not going to be nothing too crazy, too out of the ordinary, and the payoff is exactly that. Dudes jump on Twitter, Google+, getting real ignorant about it, and it's just like I tell people all the time. Listen, WWE books the major 4 pay-per-views. Everything else is just extended versions of Raw. Like, I'm going to watch Fastlane on Sunday, and it's just going to be Raw with more graphics. That's it. Raw with more graphics. Other than that, the bigger build-up is Mania. And that's it. So just sit down, enjoy your $10 WWE app, and call it a day. Dudes are out there getting super ignorant on Twitter about it. Like, oh my God, this is bullshit. And it's just like, yo, I hate to tell you. Are you paying for the network? Yeah. So this pay-per-view is essentially $10. It is the cost of a pie, of a pizza pie. Depending on where you live in the US, it is essentially the cost of a pizza pie. Unless, of course, you're buying your pizza from Little Caesars, where you're essentially getting 2 pies for that price. But that's not real pizza, and that's a story for another day. But seriously, like, dudes are out there fighting, fighting the good fight, talking about that they feel that WWE's phoning it in. And it's just like, yo, cut the bullshit and recognize the fact that you're paying $10 fucking dollars. I could understand if you said to me, yo, I don't got the network, but I try to buy every pay-per-view. First thing I'd tell you is you're a fucking idiot. Second thing I'd tell you is, $10. That's what the shit is. It's $10 out of your pocket. Each month of the network is $10. If you're only paying the $10 and you're only watching the pay-per-views, you're a fucking idiot too. Because again, NXT, the Monday Night Wars, all the other special programming, all the old shit that you could watch, if you're only bitching about $10 for a pay-per-view, you're a fucking idiot. Hate to tell you that, but it's true. Anyway, let's get this ball rolling. Let's talk about Monday Night Raw, which it pains me to say. And when I went to the gym Monday night after Raw, and I walked in there, my buddy, my training partner, says to me, he goes, yo, man, the last Raw before the fucking pay-per-view is supposed to be dope, right? According to your logic, that shit sucked. And what am I gonna do? I am gonna nod my head and agree. And you know what's terrible? It's the fact that the Raw that they did before Triple H went on Austin's podcast was 5 stars. And then they just decided, hey, we're just gonna regress and do absolutely nothing for these next 2 weeks. And that's pretty much it. Every week it was the Big Show and Kane as soon as Raw started. I don't understand it. Do those guys got like naked pictures of Vince McMahon? Well, maybe not, but you never know, because they're out there every week with the shit. It just feels like we see the same 3 matches on a roster of 100 wrestlers, and essentially 3 hours of live television. I gotta be stuck watching Kane and the Big Show for the 85th time, fighting Roman Reigns and Daniel Bryan for the 85th time. And we joke about the whole build-up for this match between both guys for Fastlane, and it's like, hey, they're going to be in a tag team match together, and one guy's going to accidentally hit the other, and then they're going to beat each other up. Then the next week, they're going to fight each other's opponents, and it's as cookie-cutter as it gets. The only thing that they did right on Monday night was not letting either guy get the upper hand, because in Wrestling Booking 101, whoever is standing tall at the end of the Raw before a pay-per-view is going to lose. And then what ends up happening is, obviously, the other guy wins, and that's it, because that guy gets the upper hand and gets his revenge at the pay-per-view. They kept it very, very gray, which was good, but at this point, I don't even give a shit. I just want to get to WrestleMania, because at the end of the day, that's where that's the culmination of all this, of this entire journey. Anyway, so we open up the show with John Cena coming out. It's been a while since John Cena opened the show. Usually we're stuck with Triple H giving us his 20-minute dissertation on nuclear fission and why Vince McMahon's veins look like the exercise bands that dudes warm up with in the back. But not the case this week. John Cena went out there, cut a little promo. Rusev comes out, brings Lana. Lana's, doing her shtick. And then all of a sudden, Rusev just starts like really talking. John Cena, I will go out there and break your face. I'm like, yo, what is wrong with you? Welcome to the deli. Would you like a number 1? Like, yo, why are you just why is your promo work so awful, dude? Like, not awful in the sense that he can't talk, but I don't know if it's because he's trying to over-exaggerate the Russian accent. I'm like, yo, come on. Lana, too. Lana says some words, and she'll be like, tonight we're going to talk about the possibilities. Yeah, I'm like, what? The what? Oh, possibilities. Like she tries to really phone in the Russian accent. So some of the words, it's like, no, that's not how that sounds. Tonight we're going to carry the bucket to the ring and mop the floor with John Cena. Like, it's got to be really, really, it's got to be real easy. Otherwise, it's like, yo, she just eats the words like fucking Pac-Man. She's the Pac-Man of promos. So's Rusev. Rusev, I'm like, yo, dude, just don't talk. Come out there, wear your pants all the way up to your fucking nipples, and look scary. Otherwise, please, just let Lana do the talking. Anyway, we got the hard sell. Obviously, Cena and Rusev are probably going to be one of the matches that are going to steal the show. And the reason I say that is because Cena's not a terrible worker by any stretch of the imagination. Yes, Cena has his 5 moves of doom, but he's not a shitty worker. Guy is good in the ring, gets the job done, and Rusev isn't a terrible worker either. The problem with Rusev is that Rusev hasn't established a pattern where he can carry his opponents in matches. You know, the bulk of it is the opponents putting him over and making him look good. But I do feel that the chemistry between them both is going to lead to a surprisingly good match. And I'll be honest, I feel that Cena's going to win the match and, you know, add some legitimacy to the U.S. title. And I have no problem with that because I do feel that the whole undefeated streak is a crutch. The truest test for a dude that's supposed to be a badass is just being a badass all the time. And the problem with Rusev is some weeks he's like the cowardly heel. Other weeks he just comes out there and just kills everybody. And again, very disjointed booking for him as a persona. But I do feel that the guy being, you know, undefeated is a crutch. I mean, when WCW did it with Goldberg, it was different because he'd go out there and he was killing everybody, which was good. He was killing jobbers, mid-carders, main eventers. It took a cattle prod from Kevin Nash for Goldberg to finally lose, but the loss actually made Goldberg a bigger enigma, a bigger fan favorite. And I think in Rusev's case, at any point, there's no disputing the fact that the guy is a monster and he's a scary dude. But I do feel that the crutch of him being undefeated just kind of forces him to work within the confines of that gimmick, which is stupid. You know, it's crazy. It's crazy, but I know that logistically it's what works. That's all I'm saying. Anyway, we got a backstage segment with Dean Ambrose. Of course, this is the build up for him and Wade Barrett squaring off at Fastlane for the IC title. Again, I do like the renewed focus on mid-card titles, but I don't want it to be a one-and-done scenario. On the contrary, I do feel that the mid-card titles, and I've said this before, they should be the stepping stone to main event status. And if anything, Wade Barrett and Dean Ambrose have the potential to also be a solid match. I think both guys have great potential, good workers, and I do feel that Wade Barrett's brute style complements Dean Ambrose's erratic, crazy Brian Pillman style offense. Now, again, if Dean Ambrose wins, which I think he's about due because it feels like he's been losing in every match he's been in, if Dean Ambrose wins, I think it's going to really do a lot for the IC title. And I do feel that Wade Barrett might need to start transitioning Wade Barrett up into the upper card, only because there really is a vacuum of credible guys up there. I'll be honest, I if anything, I would probably shelve Kane in the Big Show and maybe align Wade Barrett with the Authority guys. Guy comes out with a suit. He becomes the new director of operations because Kane couldn't get the job done, and he just comes out and delivers bad news, you know? And I just feel that it's better because then you can kind of shuffle the deck a little bit, and he's already working with the Authority, you know, kind of, sort of, so it would work in a better capacity. Of course, they're not going to do that, but if Wade Barrett drops the title to Dean Ambrose, I got no issue with it. If Dean Ambrose loses, I mean, he's losing against a guy who's a solid opponent, but you can't keep Dean Ambrose on a losing streak for too long because the crowd is really, really invested into the character, and the crowd is fickle. He doesn't have the crowd in the palm of his hand the same way that Daniel Bryan does. He's nowhere near that level. But, you know, we'll see what happens. I think it's going to be another match, much like Cena and Rusev, that people aren't paying a lot of attention to it, but it does have the potential to be very good. While we're on that subject, Dean Ambrose had a really good match with Luke Harper that I was really impressed with. Again, Luke Harper, even though the guy looks like, you know, a homeless rapist, the fact is that even though he looks like that, he is a really good worker. He has an incredible move set. He's incredibly agile for a larger framed wrestler. Really good chemistry. I think that his program and his work with Dolph Ziggler was definitely top of the food chain. I do feel that the tag matches that he had with the Usos, along with Eric Rowan, were really, really promising. Luke Harper's a guy that if you book him right, you can create a brand new phenom, a brand new monster heel that, you know, oh, you're going to face your mystery opponent. And when Luke Harper comes out, you know, you can genuinely see that people are kind of freaked out by this guy with these vacant eyes that just looks like, you know, a guy that should be in Deliverance. You know, I think in Luke Harper's case, his gimmick just needs a little bit more tweaking. I've always said, and a lot of people will agree, that disbanding the Wyatt family so quickly, while it was good for Luke Harper, it was bad overall, because I feel that Luke Harper could have learned a lot more from Bray Wyatt, just from a promo standpoint. I do feel Luke Harper's promos leave a little bit to be desired, but his work rate for a bigger guy is tremendous. So, you know, we get a backstage segment, you know, with the Authority pretty much imploding, which, whatever. I could give two shits. Like I said, it's just Kane and the Big Show doing more shit. We did get some great promo work from Bray Wyatt. Of course, the bulk of the dirt sheets pretty much are saying that Bray Wyatt's cutting these promos in a build-up to a match with The Undertaker for WrestleMania. Make of that what you will. With regards to The Undertaker and his physical condition, I've heard different things. Some people say good, some people say bad. Other people say he looks like Doc from Back to the Future. At the end of the day, it doesn't even matter, because The Undertaker is, even if you book him as a special attraction at this point, you're going to need to put him in a match with a guy that can shoulder the load of the story. And I think Bray Wyatt's a better opponent for that. Like, as much as people want to see The Undertaker and Sting, it would be, like, and I've said this before, an injustice to both guys' careers and legacies to put them in there and let them fucking try and put together a decent match. Bray Wyatt is a good worker. I think he's safe, and he will really make The Undertaker look good. And even still, if you're trying to put somebody over, The Undertaker putting over Bray Wyatt shouldn't be a stretch by any means, because Bray Wyatt's promo work has definitely made him a commodity in the upper card. Again, if you disagree, feel free to share your thoughts, and I'll gladly read them on air. All right, so Goldust and Stardust took on the New Day. I actually went to the bathroom during this match. Hate to say it, New Day, I'm tired of them shucking and jiving, fucking Biggie Langston channeling his inner Al Sharpton, his inner Jesse Jackson. I'm tired of it. You got three talented guys that are pigeonholed in a gimmick that is essentially something that you see on Channel 5 Sunday mornings at 9. I'm sorry. Last time I checked, this is wrestling, not fucking Sister Act. I don't give a shit. I don't care that it's a new day and you fucking got your little fucking rag, you know, fucking Biggie Langston shaking his little fucking towel around and shit, fucking shucking and jiving, just real stupid. It's like you're a 300-pound behemoth and they got you out there. It's like, why doesn't somebody just at fucking play, you know, it's like an organ grinder. Just give Biggie Langston fucking cymbals and have Kofi Kingston grind the organ at this point. It's an embarrassment to all three of those guys. And it bothers me because Xavier Woods, who's been on My Take Radio, you guys that have heard the episodes that he's been on know that he's well-spoken, articulate, talented, funny. The guy knows his shit, and he's going out there essentially playing the organ grinder with the other two. It's stupid and it's tiresome. I've said it before and I've said it again. If you're and we've talked about this ad nauseum, and I'll say this once and once only. If you're the wrong shade of black, you're going to be in a shitty gimmick. I hate to say it, but it's true. If you're the wrong, everybody goes, yeah, but The Rock was a champion. Yes, because The Rock was a shade or two darker than me. If you're the color of this fucking phone stand, you're not going to be the champion. Hate to say it. When Mark Henry was at the top of his game, they could have given him the belt and nobody would have batted an eye. But instead, you know, Mark Henry goes to feuding with the Big Show for fucking 3 months. At which point I watch paint dry. Give me a break. Of course, this entire match was a catalyst for Goldust and Stardust to break up, which we knew it was going to happen. Dusty Rhodes showed up, and obviously, as soon as I heard Dusty Rhodes was going to be there, I said the heel turn is imminent. And Cody Rhodes' post-match promo with Dusty was really, really good. I do feel that Stardust is one of the characters that if Goldust were to retire, I do think that, Stardust can carry that gimmick. And, it would work. Val says that's why Booker T only had the belt like twice. This is true, but Booker T had what I like to call the hand-me-down belt. The WCW belt was never viewed as anything significant. Vince had that belt for the brand split. Vince didn't give a shit. He probably would have preferred that Booker T put the belt on a fucking chain and wear it around his neck, because he didn't give a shit about that belt. That belt was a placeholder and nothing more. Everybody's like, yeah, but so-and-so was a champion. Yes, so-and-so was a champion for any belt that wasn't the WWE Championship. Like, here's a good example. What the hell is that guy? Ezekiel Jackson. Ezekiel Jackson was the last champion of ECW. Keyword, the last champion of ECW. Oh, Bobby Lashley was a champion. Bobby Lashley never held the WWE title. Ever. Hate to tell you, but no. Oh, Mark Henry. Nope. Sorry. Again, it's not even racial bias. It is what it is. Plain and simple. I'll say this, and this is the thing that gets me. Val says, who? You guys don't remember Ezekiel Jackson or Big Zeke? He was in ECW for a minute. He he used to come out with Brian Kendrick, I remember. And again, a guy who had all the tools. He was big, he was jacked, and no. Not happening. ECW champion. That's what he was, the final ECW champion. Again, revisionist ECW, not the original ECW. And, this goes back to even when Ahmed Johnson said in an interview that he was supposed to win the belt and something happened, and then before you know it, Ahmed Johnson never won the belt. These are the facts. Ezekiel Jackson is on Lucha Underground. That is correct, Lucha Lee. He is Big Rick down there. And again, you look at these guys and you see, oh, this guy's going to be good. That guy's going to be good. And it just doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. Like, I'll give you guys an example. I think we're going to see more Samoan champions than African American champions, period. It's easier to take a Samoan champion than an African American champion. It's just the way it is. And people, they get bent out of shape, and this is just the culture of what's going on. And we could talk about the race thing all the time, but you see it every week. Like, why can't you just be a badass African American wrestler? No, because you gotta be that guy. You gotta be, the guy that raps, or the guy that's, the urban culture, or the gospel singer. The thing, let's think about it. Ernest the Cat Miller, James Brown gimmick. Bobby Lashley, basically Black Brock Lesnar. Mark Henry, closest guy to breaking through, never did. Booker T, he survived being Shane McMahon's henchman, and then he went to King Booker, which was probably the best Booker T gimmick, and then he kind of just faded. He retired. So you go down the list of these wrestlers, and most of them you're like, yeah, no. Now Val makes something interesting. He very interesting point. He says, look, honestly, with the exception of like The Rock and Booker T, most black wrestlers are lacking in the mic department, period. And then he adds, name one good black wrestler on the mic. Lucha Lee then says, and I quote, Mark Henry should have been champ. He should have taken the strap from Cena after his fake retirement speech. Yes. Lucha Lee adds that Xavier Woods is great on the mic, though he's still young in the WWE. I gotta say, African-American wrestlers that are good on the mic. D'Angelo De Niro, a.k.a. The Pope, good on the mic. MVP, good on the mic. Booker T, good on the mic. Xavier Woods, good on the mic. Big E Langston, if he wasn't fucking channeling Jesse Jackson, he's pretty good on the mic, and you can watch his NXT work to validate that. R-Truth, when he officially became R-Truth in TNA, when he won the belt in TNA, when TNA first started, that was the top of the food chain. R-Truth in TNA was tremendous. Shelton Benjamin, athletic as a motherfucker. Mic work, dog shit. Him, Kofi Kingston, same guy. I always feel that Kofi Kingston is just Shelton Benjamin in a suit, in a skin suit. Because they're essentially the same wrestler. I hate to say it, but it's true. Shelton Benjamin and Kofi Kingston are essentially the same guy. And it's not even a black thing. It's just they're the same guy. That's it. They are essentially the same guy. And again, it's one of those things where, African-American performers need to step up. No. Because Mark Henry, again, is a prime example. The guy's been there how many fucking years? You had to erase sexual chocolate. You had to erase a dozen shitty gimmicks. When he finally introduced the Hall of Pain gimmick, that's when he finally was at the top of his game. Val then adds that R-Truth killed his chances once he started rapping his own intro. Well, in the WWE, yeah, but when he was in TNA, like if you look up, I believe he defeated Ken Shamrock for the belt. And like I said, his work in TNA was real good. I was like, wow, is that the same guy? I remember that at that time he was kind of beefing with John Cena for real. And, it just made for an interesting character, a really, really interesting character. And, Shad Gaspard and JTG, again, good workers. We never really learned if their mic work was good, and that was primarily because they were a sideshow act. Now, the primetime players, I do feel that Titus O'Neil is very, very good on the mic and incredibly underrated. I think that Titus O'Neil, if I had to name 3 African-American wrestlers on the roster who would make good champions within the next 3 years, I'd say Big E Langston, Titus O'Neil, and Mark Henry, easily. And the reason I say this is for 3 reasons. Number 1, Titus O'Neil is a big dude, incredibly athletic, well-spoken, and just does really good work in the community. He's a guy that you could make the face of a company. Mark Henry, enough said. Ezekiel Jackson. Big E Langston, again, another guy. Solid. Somebody's just sent me a text. What about David Otunga? First of all, David Otunga, I didn't even know still had a job. I didn't know that dude had a job until like 2 weeks ago. They're like, yo, David Otunga's on TV. And I'm like, what the fuck? Why does David Otunga have a job? Why? He was the worst. When he would slurp that coffee cup with John Laurinaitis, I wanted to jump through the screen and kill him. Legitimately kill him dead, because he was the worst. Lucha Lee says, is Little Jimmy still on the roster? I don't think he was officially released. Little Jimmy is JTG. He is the new JTG. So Little Jimmy will continue to be on the roster till the end of days. Val adds, another issue is that wrestlers on the main card get no creative control. Yes and no, and I'll tell you why. When Titus O'Neil pitched breaking up the primetime players to Vince McMahon, and allegedly his argument was so good that they said, all right, let's give it a shot, but if you fail, it's on you. And they let him do it, but again, Titus O'Neil needs a little bit more time. He probably needed at least 2 tag team runs as the primetime players, then you break him up. Then after you do that, then you start transitioning him into that upper card. You know, you start putting him in the Bad News Barretts against the Bad News Barretts, the Sheamuses, you know, those guys. But in competitive matches, not Sheamus running out, kicking him in the face and leaving. Val says that David Otunga set the black roster back 20 years. Holy shit. Anyway. Moving on. So, Roman Reigns faced Kane in his match, and it was fucking dog shit. Complete dog shit. You know, we knew that Kane was going to eat the spear, which he did. I did like the one-upmanship of Daniel Bryan and Roman Reigns. It was nice because it was a good way to acknowledge that Daniel Bryan continues to be the most popular guy on your roster. Paige squared off against Summer Rae, and of course the big get was the Naked Paige hashtag that was trending because of course the Bellas did the most perfect thing and stole her clothes, which of course led to Paige robbing a Rosebud of clothes, and yeah, so it was what it was. Summer Rae is just dog shit. I'm like, oh, this chick still has a job. Oops. That's all I said when I saw her. Seth Rollins cut an awesome promo. I like that Dolph Ziggler said, oh, you know, Seth Rollins didn't have a good Valentine's Day. And everybody was just like, oh. But again, Dolph Ziggler, master of improv, did a really, really good job with that. I thought it was a tremendous exchange. I like the way that the promo set up the match. You know, Seth Rollins and Dolph Ziggler, you can let those motherfuckers wrestle on multiple matches. Those guys can probably be your future Triple H and Rock, you know? And it's crazy. I really feel that Ziggler and Rollins chemistry is incredibly underrated, and they have really good matches together. I was like, wow, this is a badass match. And you know, again, it just shows that when you take 2 talented performers and put them in there and give them something good to work with, they really deliver great matches. And I do agree, Slick said J&J fucked up a fantastic match. This is true. J&J Security, they have their purpose, but the problem is that sometimes J&J Security hold back Seth Rollins from being an even better heel, because what happens is that he's very, that, you know, you fluctuate from being a badass heel to having these 2 stooges, and, you know, it kind of waters down the character. But overall, I did feel Ziggler and Rollins have tremendous chemistry. Triple H comes out to do the hard sell for Fastlane with Sting and Nature Boy Ric Flair. Pretty good setup, of course. The build up for this is gonna be interesting, because obviously it's going towards, you know, the build up for WrestleMania, and I have no problem with it. I think Nate's involvement was really a waste of time. The only good thing out of it is that, you know, Triple H said a very, very interesting line during that exchange, and Triple H said that, you know, Sting is WCW, I am the WWE. And I laughed when I saw that, when I heard that, because I said Triple H has probably been dying to say that line for the last 5 years, because the amount of passion and aggression when he said it, it's just like, this is a dude that believes his fucking hype, and he knows that he is the backbone of this company when Vince fucking kicks the bucket. And, you know, it was a very interesting dynamic. And for those of you that have issue with Sting and Triple H, I think Triple H can carry Sting to a very, very good match. I just feel that it's 5 years too late, like Val just said. We'll see what happens. Obviously, Sting, the good thing is that they're using Sting the right way, not having him out there, not having him wrestle. Like I said a couple of weeks back, Sting's hairline is like back here. So, when he puts on the face paint and the face paint pretty much goes up his forehead and goes to the middle of his head, it's like Sting isn't exactly a spring chicken. And, to have him out there and pretty much have him show his age just, with HD TV and just having him move in the ring, it's better that you're doing all the theatricality, because then you can have him and Triple H build up a good match for WrestleMania. Again, don't expect a 5-star match. It's not going to happen, but I do think Triple H can carry him to at least a solid, 3-star match. We'll see what happens. I've always felt that Sting was a great storyteller, so I think that's going to be a good dynamic for the match. But, Sting still does look better than The Undertaker. This is true. But, The Undertaker's, Doc, it's your kids, Marty. Your kids. Where's Paul Bearer with my urn? Like, that's pretty much it. That's The Undertaker's essentially Doc Brown. All those 2015 Back to the Future posters you've been seeing, that's because The Undertaker's going to reprise his role and help Marty. That's why you're not going to see him at WrestleMania. Simple as that. All right, so this was actually interesting because Darren Young comes out with this guy, and the guy's announced as his partner, which initially it took me a moment. I had to do a double take when I heard that. It's like, oh, Darren Young and his partner. And obviously, Darren Young acknowledging his sexual orientation. I was like, oh shit, are they acknowledging that as a gimmick? But they didn't. It was just interesting. Of course, the Ascension come out and try and beat up Darren Young, and there's a save by Titus O'Neil. Now, of course, the beauty of that is that I said, wow, you're putting the primetime players back together. And I thought about it and I said, holy shit, maybe the tag team division won't be a clusterfuck like it's been for the past couple of months. And I'll say this, the primetime players were definitely some of the better tag teams that they could work with, like, don't get me wrong, the Ascension, love them or hate them, they're part of the tag team division. But at least if you have a couple of different teams and solid opponents, we don't have to see the same shit every week. Titus O'Neil needs this, and so does Darren Young. Darren Young's a solid wrestler. Titus O'Neil, like I said, is good, but again, you have a good worker and a good guy on the mic, so if you put them together, you get one complete wrestler. The primetime players definitely need at least one tag team title run, and then you can kind of see where they're building from. That, like, I always feel that the primetime players when they were at the top of the food chain and they were over and everybody was doing the dance and all this shit, they really didn't maximize how over they were at the time. Hopefully, they can erase that mistake and do something with them. We shall see what happens. Damian Mizdow took on Wade Barrett, which we knew was going to end with pretty much the Miz costing Mizdow the match. I'm sure this is going to lead to the inevitable WrestleMania match between Miz and Mizdow, which is fine. Like I said, though, the true question is what happens to Mizdow after this feud is over. Jimmy Uso and Naomi took on Tyson Kidd and Natalya. Of course, this is more Total Divas shit. Wash, rinse, and repeat. And of course, the last match of the evening was Daniel Bryan and The Big Show, which was surprisingly not complete shit, but a match that we've seen a dozen times before. Of course, Roman Reigns interferes, costs Daniel Bryan the match, leads to Daniel Bryan drop kicking the shit out of him, both guys beating the shit out of each other, and that was it. I mean, like I said, it was a very, very it was a mild ending. And when you're building up a pay-per-view, I'm like, all right, so I'm supposed to buy the pay-per-view just based off of that. And it really did a poor job of selling the pay-per-view, the end of Raw, but obviously we're all going to see it anyway. I did watch NXT. I didn't finish watching it. The only thing I did want to say is that seeing Rhino on NXT gore the shit out of somebody really made me feel it made me feel bad for Roman Reigns. Because it's like Roman Reigns is out there hitting dudes with the spear, and that's funny, but Rhino hitting you with the gore is fucking legit. Like it's like, oh, Roman Reigns with the spear. And it's like, no, Rhino with the gore. Seeing that on NXT, I mean, if Rhino's going to be in NXT to help some of the younger guys get over, I got no problem with that. I think Rhino's still a great worker, and I'm sorry, nobody delivers the spear like Rhino. You could call it the spear, the gore, whatever the case may be. Nobody does that shit better than Rhino. And like Jay just said, Rhino back on the low is really cool, and that's what I liked. Like they didn't go full bore with it, but it was good to see him, and I think that using those guys in that capacity is really, really good. Slick says that Goldberg's spear was number 1 in my book. You know what the thing was with Goldberg's spear? It depended on the guy that was taking it. The guy that took the spear would in essence make the spear look good. Because I remember when Goldberg speared The Rock sold that shit like he got hit by a semi. Versus when Rhino gored Chris Jericho through the SmackDown screen, you know, when he was doing the run in WWE the first time, I really felt that I'm like, wow, that's legit. And the thing is that in Rhino's case, Rhino has such a low center of gravity that when he does it, he actually is able to come out and really deliver it with a lot of impact. Like I said, I liked it. I thought it was really cool. And it was, like I said, very, very refreshing seeing Rhino there. Again, we'll see what happens. I don't know if we'll see Rhino on the main roster, but seeing him on NXT definitely was very cool. Enzo Amore and Big Cass with Carmella took on the Vaudevillains. Very solid match. Again, you know, Enzo and Big Cass, they need all the help they can get from a wrestling standpoint. Promo-wise, though, Enzo Amore is a fucking animal. Nobody's touching that guy on the mic because he's in a league of his own. And as for Big Cass, I think Big Cass needs some better ring work. He definitely has tremendous potential. He's a guy that definitely can become a modern day Kevin Nash, with Enzo being a modern day Shawn Michaels. But we'll see what happens. I'm a big fan of the Vaudevillains gimmick. I would like to see the Vaudevillains on the main roster because, you know, the black and white of the screen, the old style music, I think the crowd can really get into that. Again, we'll see what happens, but I do feel that the Vaudevillains definitely are very cool. Even if, Simon Gotch and Aiden English are essentially Eddie Guerrero and Pale Cesaro, but that's a story for another day. Sasha Banks took on Blue Pants, which was Leva Bates. Very, very solid match. I do feel that Sasha Banks, it's good that she got the belt. I do feel that she can carry the division. She's a good worker. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm not a fan of her looking like a hood rat, like a chick you see in Corona on the weekends. But the gimmick has its place. Like I said, in terms of the roster, it's definitely very unique. She definitely... like I said, very, very hood. I feel like she reminds me of a lot of chicks I went to high school with. But to carry the roster, I wouldn't put the belt on anyone else. I think that when Bayley finally wins the belt, which I've talked about before, she's going to have her Daniel Bryan moment, which will be very cool. And, everybody's like, oh, Bayley should have got the belt. No, Bayley benefits more from being from chasing the title. Because like I said, when she finally wins it, it's going to be bittersweet for all parties involved. Again, we shall see what happens. Now, of course, Kevin Owens took on Adrian Neville in an amazing fucking match. Everybody's like, yeah, Adrian Neville, he's all right, depending, because Sami Zayn made him look really good. Kevin Owens and fucking this guy, Adrian Neville, really was insane. It was a tremendous match. It actually to a degree was even better than Owens' match with Sami Zayn. Of course, it's not the last match we'll see between those guys, but Owens, man, it was just an awesome match. Definitely had shades of what we saw at NXT Rival, but I do like the chemistry that Adrian Neville had with Kevin Owens. Again, with the signing of Samoa Joe, which I'll address later on, I do think that NXT continues to really, really be a driving force for WWE, and we're going to discuss that in detail later on in the segment. For the rest of the wrestling news of the week, I kind of want to get into that a little bit and acknowledge a couple of things. First off, I got to wish a speedy recovery to Eddie Edwards, who actually broke his foot during one of TNA's one-night-only pay-per-view tapings. I was really bummed about that. I feel that, Eddie Edwards and, the American Wolves as a tag team are tremendous for TNA. Like I said, I was bummed out when I heard that. Hopefully, Eddie Edwards say that, Val, I'm confused. I'll wait for Val to answer. Anyway, as I was saying, the American Wolves, when they were in NXT and everybody was talking about them being signed, I was really, really excited. And when they went to TNA and started really having great matches, I really had a lot of hope that they would be the flag bearers for the company. But, alas, injury once again derails the push. Davey says, Jay Santy says, at least it wasn't Davey this time, which is true. Davey Richards stays getting hurt. The guy is straight Mr. Glass. Oh, the Samoa Joe signing. Yeah, I'm going to talk about that. Nothing has happened with that, Val, but we'll get into that. And I'll tell you why later on. Again, Eddie Edwards, the only blessing in disguise with Eddie Edwards being injured is that Davey Richards, you could give him a singles run. And I'm going to talk about his departure, but also about signing opportunities. So definitely be on the lookout for that. I'll get into that in a moment. As I said, I would like to see Davey Richards get a singles run. I think his singles run in Ring of Honor was really, really good. And while, again, I'd love to see the American Wolves hold it down as a tag team, I do feel Davey Richards as a singles competitor would be good for the company. Again, with the departure of Samoa Joe, this is a great opportunity for people to step up. And we're going to get into that in a moment. Now, I read an interesting post from Dave Meltzer on the Wrestling Observer message boards talking about the frustration of the superstars on the main roster and with the NXT workers and just the NXT product. According to what David Meltzer wrote, he said that the main roster is frustrated because they're not able to work better matches on Raw and SmackDown and pay-per-view because NXT workers get more time. He said that NXT talents are frustrated because they're not able to move up to the main roster. So, again, there's frustration on equal sides, but I'm going to acknowledge this in two parts. First of all, the WWE roster being frustrated about not having enough TV time, it's a double-edged sword. First of all, they're at the mercy of television programming, meaning commercials and everything else. The other thing is that if there really is that level of frustration, then it should be voiced to management. It doesn't take much to say, hey, Vince, there's a lot of issues in the locker room. The people are concerned that they're not getting enough TV time, not being able to tell stories, whatever the case may be. And on the NXT side, it's like these guys want to get called up to the main roster. But here's the thing. Nikki Bella said at Wizard World Comic-Con something that's really crazy. She said this. She said, if I was in NXT, I wouldn't want to come up to the main roster either because you get so much time down there. If you come to the live events, you'll see we get a lot of time at the live events, but when it comes to TV, it's hard to tell a story in 3 minutes. And, for Nikki Bella to acknowledge that publicly kind of puts a little weight behind what Dave Meltzer said. I mean, a lot of people are always going to question his sources. And, Jay himself says, I don't believe that shit. And the thing that got me was that when I read that, I'm like, But then when I saw that Nikki Bella acknowledged that in a non-wrestling setting, at Wizard World, it shows that there's definitely a situation brewing between both rosters. And I do agree. I mean, yes, they do have shorter amounts of time. They got 3-minute matches. But again, even if NXT had less time, the quality of wrestling is just better. It's just better wrestling. If you give the guys in NXT 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, they're putting on better matches than the 5-minute matches that guys put on the main roster. You know? And Slick makes a valid point. NXT has to have longer matches. They have fewer people. Yes. But like I said, the other side of the coin is the fact that the NXT has better fucking wrestling. There's better creative and there's better storytelling. You got 3 hours of television on Monday nights. Vince rewrites that shit 17 times before the show goes on air, and you're at the mercy of a 30-man creative team. That these are the facts. If there are any issues whatsoever between either roster, they can be rectified by either allowing the guys on the main roster to have longer matches, which really just means less time recapping shit that happened 30 minutes ago, or the guys on the main roster need to watch how NXT guys work and start taking note. You know? Jay says it is true, but the work comes with experience and the main roster knows when to turn it on. You know what it is? That's true, Jay, but you also got to remember when they did TLC, it was right after that NXT event that they did, the takeover event, and that card was complete shit because the roster had zero motivation. There was zero motivation in that pay-per-view. I watched that pay-per-view again just because I was bored. I had it playing while I was getting ready for work. And I said to myself, wow, you just see that these guys weren't motivated because they didn't have that fire in their belly. You know, they didn't have that fire in their belly. It's like what a guy I know, he said to me a couple of days ago. He goes, you know what the problem is? The guys that are on the main roster are comfortable. The guys on NXT are scrapping, they're fighting, they're clawing because they want that opportunity. They're hungrier, like Slick said. And it's true. It's a very interesting situation on both sides. And I do see both arguments, but I do have to say that time and ability are two different things because the NXT roster wrestles better. The NXT roster wrestles better than the main roster. Better. You can count on one hand how many times. See, Jay goes there. That's why I don't believe anyone is complaining. They're comfortable. You know what the problem is, Jay? Nikki Bella fucking fucked up by saying that. She said it. She said, I didn't finish reading what she said. She said, you get a lot of TV time on TV. We get so frustrated because it's hard to tell a story in 3 minutes, especially when they want an entrance. We want time to wrestle. She said after watching NXT Rival and seeing them go 20 minutes, it's like a dream. It's something we love and we're trying so hard to get more time. There's a 3-hour Raw and you can't give more time to the Divas, but hopefully that'll change in the future. Nikki Bella's over here talking about wanting to give the Divas more time. It doesn't matter giving the Divas 5 minutes or 15 minutes when half of them wrestle like shit. If you look at NXT's Divas, they can all wrestle. It's not all hair pulling and bullshit. It is wrestling. That's it. You know? Simple as that. And that's the thing that gets me. When Nikki Bella acknowledges it, that means there's a problem. And Val says Nikki Bella couldn't wrestle a good match in 3 minutes. You know what Val, I don't think you were listening the night that I said that the Bella twins are in that transitional period like Trish Stratus was when Trish Stratus was going from valet to wrestler, that her wrestling wasn't developed. The Bellas, don't get me wrong, they're not great, but they're not as terrible as they were a while back. You know? Jay says, Nikki can say that about the Divas, but the male roster doesn't have that issue. No. What the male roster has is a mixture of poor workers and recycled matches. The time issue isn't there for the male roster. The male roster stuck with terrible creative. That's what the male roster stuck with. Terrible creative teams for the male roster. Val says the Bellas have been in that transition period for like 5 years. Well, you know what it is? That transition period also saw, I think they had Kidman, they had Fit Finlay first, then they had Kidman. I don't even know who does the booking for the Divas now, but whoever it is doing a shit job. That I can say. But again, it's one of those situations where I really feel that even though people want Raw to be as good as NXT, I want NXT to continue being special because it makes the owning of the network unique. You see all these guys develop, you see all these guys on the come up, and then you appreciate their work more because they're hungry and they're happy to be there. And that's something that, no amount of TV time is gonna take away. You see the excitement. You see the excitement in the audience. You see the excitement in the wrestlers. When guys like Finn Balor go out there and kill it with Adrian Neville for 20 plus minutes, people appreciate that. The wrestlers appreciate it because they're learning from each other to be better performers. And on top of that, matches like that, when those guys get to the main roster, they're gonna make everybody step their game up. You don't think that guys are looking at Finn Balor and they're like, yo, this guy's going to come up here and take our spot. Yeah, the fuck he is. He is. Oh, look at Adrian Neville. That little fucking guy thinks that he's the shit because he is. If you told me, hey, I have a choice between Adrian Neville and Adam Rose, you're fired. If you had a choice between Finn Balor and Sheamus, you're all right, but you got to go. It's crazy to me, like there's like people want NXT and they want Raw to be the same, and it's never going to happen because it's run by two different people. Triple H runs NXT, Vince runs Raw. The day that Triple H runs Raw, everyone's going to notice. Everyone's going to notice when Triple H is running Raw. Simple as that. Anyway, let's I just want to give you guys my picks for the Fastlane pay-per-view before we get through the rest of the news. Triple H and Sting are going face-to-face. Nothing there. Goldust and Stardust allegedly are going to square off. That might be a spoiler, so take it for what it's worth. The Usos are going to take on Cesaro and Kid. I definitely think that Cesaro and Kid should get the belts, but I don't see it happening. Dean Ambrose is getting the IC title. Paige is getting the Divas title, and I do think that John Cena is going to derail Rusev, and obviously Roman Reigns is going to win. Daniel Bryan is going to make him strong, though. Just in case, Daniel Bryan is going to make Roman look real strong heading to WrestleMania. But yeah, those are my picks. I got to talk about Jim Ross briefly. If you don't read Jim Ross's blog, do yourselves a favor and hit subscribe. It's a very, very good blog. And Jim Ross has tremendous insight into certain things. He posed a very, very interesting scenario involving Brock Lesnar. And he said, sources are saying that it looks more and more promising that Brock Lesnar will stay with WWE past WrestleMania due to the long-term health effects of competing in MMA, specifically concussion-oriented issues later in one's lifespan. There are sources that are fairly reliable that are saying that depending on how the match goes at WrestleMania 31, one thing is certain. If the UFC believes, and rightly so, that CM Punk will sell pay-per-views, then they will definitely try and make an aggressive push for Brock Lesnar. I do feel that Brock Lesnar is going to probably go back to the UFC, but if he does go back, he probably will go back with a 5-fight deal or a 4-fight deal, and after it's done, he's going to come back to the WWE because it is less rigorous, on top of the fact that, Jim Ross made a valid point about long-term health effects, and after Brock Lesnar's diverticulitis issues and who knows what else may be going on, I do think that Brock Lesnar should continue being a special attraction, like I've said before, on par with The Undertaker. As for having him champion and shit like that, not necessary, but definitely from a special attraction standpoint, there is something there that can definitely be done. And in any case, the next big thing I wanted to talk about was the announcement that Samoa Joe was departing TNA. He made the announcement on Twitter, and pretty much all signs point to it being about money. TNA wanted to re-sign him for substantially less money than what he was making, much like they did with AJ Styles. Of course, Samoa Joe did not agree, and they parted amicably. Now, of course, once that announcement was made, a lot of superstars went out of their way to obviously say good things about Samoa Joe. It was funny that Samoa Joe's announcement, Paul Heyman, he just wrote, right after, which was kind of cool. Stone Cold Steve Austin pretty much said outright that WWE should sign Samoa Joe. And, a lot of people are saying that they want to see Samoa Joe get an NXT tryout. Now, a lot of people are saying that while Triple H would love to get Samoa Joe, Vince McMahon has little interest in signing Samoa Joe. Now, of course, none of this surprises me because obviously there's a different type of approach between both guys. But I will say this. I think Triple H signing Samoa Joe and Samoa Joe going to NXT would lead to some amazing wrestling. I think that Samoa Joe, Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, Finn Balor, Hideo Itami alone, plus Adrian Neville would pretty much make NXT the must-see program on television. Now, of course, a lot of people were quick to say, oh, well, WWE's not going to sign Samoa Joe because he's fat. Okay, so Kevin Owens or Kevin Steen wasn't exactly winning any beauty pageants either. But the fact is, it's called conditioning and diet. And if you want it bad enough, you'll make the change. Think about it. Kevin Steen was a bigger dude when he wrestled in Ring of Honor. And as time went on and you change your diet and your lifestyle and everything else, you get healthy. Kevin Steen is probably in the best shape I've seen with him in Ring of Honor, in WWE. Same thing could happen with Samoa Joe. So before you jump on your high horse, oh, Samoa Joe's fat, they're not going to sign him, or Samoa Joe only does spots. You try being 280 pounds and doing a spin wheel kick and get back to me. It's a very, very interesting time. Honestly, Samoa Joe going to New Japan Pro Wrestling is probably a shoo-in. It's probably the easiest thing they could do. They could probably make him part of the Bullet Club. But who knows? Jay says, name an original TNA wrestler to sign with WWE. R-Truth. R-Truth, damn it. R-Truth is who I'm naming. Val says Samoa Joe gained a lot of weight since his debut in TNA, probably because he didn't get any gym time. You know what the thing is? I always look at work rate before body type because, again, it's just a matter of changing diet and changing conditioning. And who knows? Maybe he just felt that, I could go out there and have great matches. Fuck how I look. And, to each his own. It's just interesting. Mick Foley actually put on Facebook, he said, I'd love to see Samoa Joe in the WWE as a proven commodity given a new surrounding and possibly a new look could be good for both Joe and the WWE. I remember running into Triple H and Stephanie at an airport in 2004 and mentioning that I was on my way to a Ring of Honor show. Triple H went out of his way to say that he'd heard that Samoa Joe was a hell of a worker. Hopefully Joe will get a chance to show WWE just how impressive he can be in person. There you have it. Jay definitely stands by his assessment that it's not happening. I will say this. If Samoa Joe goes to New Japan, it's fine. But if he does go to WWE, NXT just got a serious fucking boost. Again, this is me as a fan. I'd love to see it. Oh, yeah, I know he was K Quick first, Jay. I'm just pulling your chain. I'm just fucking with you. I know. But, like I said, I'd love to see Samoa Joe get the opportunity. I mean, if Kevin Steen could get the opportunity, I could see Joe getting the opportunity. It's just a matter of, again, if he chooses to do it. A lot of people are saying that an open tryout at NXT is a given for Samoa Joe. We'll see. We'll see how it unfolds. He did put out a statement, and he said, the reasons for my departure are varied, and it's a laundry list. I wish no ill will towards TNA, just sometimes you need a change of scenery. I'll be spending the next few days combing through the offers put before me, which I'm both a bit surprised and thankful for. According to the report, New Japan Pro Wrestling could be interested in picking up Samoa Joe. However, since so many talents are currently working in New Japan Pro Wrestling at the moment, it's possible the promotion may not go out of its way to pick up another one like Joe. Again, we'll see what happens. I mean, I'd be shocked if Samoa Joe went to like Lucha Underground. You never know. But Samoa Joe going back to Ring of Honor definitely would work. And I mean, considering the talent Ring of Honor has currently, I have no problem with that. And again, wishful thinking would be NXT, but we'll just have to wait and see. All right, so before I wrap things up, there's two scandal-ridden stories that I got to talk about. The first is involving China. If you guys remember last week, I said that China went on Vince Russo's podcast and said that Triple H abused her and physically abused her. And it's interesting because the Wrestling Observer is reporting that Sean Waltman disputed that theory, X-Pac, saying that, China recounted a story where she claimed that Triple H hit her when the two got into an argument. Waltman later admitted that Triple H pushed China away, but he did not hit her. Waltman reportedly did not want to add further details because he did not want to get wrapped up in a mudslinging story with Triple H and China. He did say that the claim China made in her book where she was raped in college was not true. Per Waltman, China later told him that the claim was not true. He also denied what China said about him publicly when they were together. So there you have it. Of course, Sean Waltman coming to Triple H's defense with regards to the allegation that he struck China. Again, his side, her side, and the truth. But definitely something that is not good for WWE. Obviously, it's definitely something that raises a red flag. But of course, given China's sporadic craziness, it might get swept under the rug. But still, it's definitely a hot topic at the moment and definitely not good for the company. On the flip side, I want to talk about Zara Schreiber. Of course, we all know Zara Schreiber based on Seth Rollins' Instagram. Of course, she was the girl whose naked pictures ended up on Seth Rollins' Instagram, of course, which led to the most famous Money in the Bank dick pic known to mankind. In any case, they've been discussing what her role in NXT is going to be. And pretty much there's a rumor going around that they're going to pair her with Baron Corbin and that she's going to be Baron Corbin's manager or valet. Take that for what it's worth. I do think, based on the photos we've seen, she definitely has the look of a WWE diva. I don't know if all the tattoos are going to go over well, but, putting her with Baron Corbin, we'll see if that pans out. Obviously, she's not getting released. So, you guys can rest easy because I'm sure many of you right-clicked and saved that photo as soon as it hit the internet. But again, something that we will be watching very, very closely. Like I said, with Samoa Joe, either Ring of Honor, New Japan, or NXT. So we'll see how it pans out. And with that, that is actually going to wrap up the show for this week. I see that we almost went into 3 hours, and the kid's a little tired, and I got to do some editing after working on my fucking house earlier today. So that is going to wrap things up. So let's take it away. You've just heard My Take Radio, episode 274. Of course, tomorrow is the big one, episode 275. Please join us. We'll be talking gaming and entertainment. Archived versions of this episode will be available on iTunes, Stitcher, and TuneIn Radio. Video versions of this episode will be available on both YouTube channels, Rageworks, official Rageworks on YouTube, or My Take Radio TV. As always, Rageworks is My Take Radio is part of the Rageworks podcast network. Make sure to check out all our shows on Rageworks.net, including The Buried Show, Black is the New Black, MTR Behind the Mic, MTR Beyond the Mic, and so many others. On behalf of myself, Slick, Ben, and the rest of the MTR Rageworks team, that is it. I will see you guys later. Thank you for your continued support. MTR 275 tomorrow. I am out of here. Peace.
I'm rich, biatch.
That's all, folks.